current strikes in Iran, what do you think the real objective is, and does it line up with what we're being told?
The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II.
Just huge distraction.
From the Epstein stuff, you think?
100%. The fact that all of a sudden aliens are real, oh, by the way, we're starting a war with Iran at the same time, it seems a little bit too on the nose to me. Now, are they a problem? Yeah, they're a problem. I'm not so naive to think that Venezuela's not a threat to the United States. I think Iran's a threat to the United States, but it's hard for me to believe that the way it's going about it is the only way to go about it. It's so hard for me to think anything other than distraction.
There's definitely a recurring theme in terms of accusation of Israel playing a huge role in us doing it. Do you have an opinion on that?
If it's true that we are literally just being a puppet for Israel, that's unsettling.
Since the Civil War, dogs have stood alongside our military, proving to be indispensable partners. Our military prioritized ensuring proper canine nutrition for optimal performance, recognizing its vital role in mission success. Team Dog embodies that standard, offering science-based, customizable meal plans tailored to your dog's unique needs. Developed by a former Navy SEAL and canine trainer, Team Dog Food ensures the highest quality nutrition for our canine companions. Improve your dog's well-being. Be your dog's hero with Team Dog.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's both an honor and a pleasure to welcome my next guest back to the podcast. He was here way back, episode 45 in 2019. Former Marine, Raider veteran, founder of the Raider Project, founder of Agoge, which is a fitness and personal development coaching for men that we're going to dive heavy into. Co-founder of Johnny Slicks, which is a men's organic grooming products company. Author of Excommunicated Warrior, which we covered in depth on the last show, and he's the host of the Nick Koumalatsos show. Ladies and gentlemen, the last time you were here, you had way better hair, but welcome to the stage, Nick Koumalatsos.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
So, first question is, A, what happened to the hair, and B, was it difficult coming out to your parents?
First question, that happened during COVID when the gym got raided.
Yeah.
And I was going on the news and stuff, and, I felt like, John Rambo, like, they drew first blood. Like, I just wanted to be left alone, man. I was just doing my thing, living my life, and they poked the bear, and because I was doing so much legal stuff, and I was like, all right, let me clean it up a little bit. But then that turned into, like, because of jiu-jitsu and everything, and I was like, no, there's no way it's ever coming back.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
No,
that's good.
Not at all.
That's a much cleaner look. Plus, with the Johnny Slicks, I imagine you kind of have to have a.
Honestly, it comes down to probably jiu-jitsu the most.
Yeah,
it's like I'm not dealing with all.
Did
that.
you try it with like?
I started with long hair.
Ponytail?
Yeah. I started, and that's I started in 2019, and then of course COVID happened. The gym got raided in April, I believe, and then that was pretty much it from there.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think we had both messed with jiu-jitsu a little bit before then, but both started training not long after, or maybe you were already training when you were on the first time, maybe not, but
I think I had just started.
Yeah, same here. Like I'd kind of just gotten into it, and you're a newly minted brown belt, if I saw correctly.
Yeah. That's a 44-year-old brown belt.
Yeah.
Let's like not
the caveats, the age.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fairly quick. I mean, not like surprisingly quick, but it seems like usuly
I felt like it was quick. Yeah. But the only thing is, the thing that I have to remember is most hobbyists train twice a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm training 4 or 5 times a week. Plus, I've been very blessed to meet a lot of like some of the top people in the world.
Yeah.
And I get to go train with them all the time.
Yeah.
Tom LeBlas is one of them. All the guys at Origin Camp. I've been blessed to have a lot of very talented people kind of pour into me, which has helped immensely.
Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying that, and but I also think it's one of those things where some guys get almost like they feel undeserving of being promoted.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like the imposter syndrome kind of thing. But there's an element of that I don't think most people think of. It's almost disrespectful to your coach, though, You know, because to me, like you either trust your coach enough to promote you when he feels you're ready.
Right.
Like if you don't, then you shouldn't train with a
Yeah,
guy.
I can't talk as much as might have imposter syndrome. Freaking Tom DeBlas gave me a brown belt.
Yeah, it's like he wouldn't give it to you if he didn't think you were ready.
Right. And if I say something like publicly, he would be like, "You think I'm an idiot?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't trust me?
Yeah. He did. I will say I posted a video of me rolling with a good friend of mine, Nick Koumalatsos, at the Agoge Brotherhood retreat. And I posted a clip of it. And I'll be honest, man, I don't think it was 3 seconds after that clip was posted. He was WhatsApping me, yelling at me about stupid white belt moves. He's like, that's the dumbest white belt shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I won't ever do that again.
Taking your belt back.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite submission or one you're most successful with?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to put that out on the internet. Honestly, yes, but there's it. I think it goes through times. Like right now, I'm working on and coaching several of our guys on a pass that's basically like it's a neon belly setup that goes to a north-south that transitions to a Kimura, which also goes to the side. So like a lot of different things, arm bars, shoulder locks, different things. But I've been perfecting this one singular move that I just hit in a circle over and over and over. Makes people annoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine. Do you compete at all still? I mean, I know you did a little bit, right?
I did. And then work got, I'm starting to get the itch to compete. I definitely want to compete at brown belt. I don't want to get promoted to black belt and then go compete.
Yeah.
Because now you're a white belt again. And
Yeah.
the guy you're competing against has been a black belt for 10 years. So I am, but like with anything, if I'm going to compete, I want to dedicate time and I want to train for it.
Right.
I'm not doing it just to do it. I want to do it to win.
For sure.
Yeah. And so it's been a little bit hard because my focus has been so much on business and life that it's just not allowed me the singularity of focus on, just a training.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there with you. What's the last full book that you've read?
4 Agreements.
Is that one that you reread often?
Actually, that was the first time that I've read it.
Oh, really?
The one that I reread the most often is As a Man Thinketh.
That's James Allen, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that in my office next door, actually. It's kind of one of those, like, not that I read it on the shitter, but it's more like at my desk I find myself looking at it often, But, yeah, it's such a
favorite book, though, story-wise, probably The Alchemist.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your biggest takeaway from it?
Oh man, the story, the being kind of addicted to the journey of things, and what you learn across the journey. Like the biggest thing that I think that I personally had to realize, and everyone needs to realize, is there is no point of arrival. There's no destination that you're getting to. You think there is, but the goalpost keeps moving. And so, what was his name, Santiago, he was really addicted to this. He started to learn that everything that he was learning as he was going through this journey was all the tools that he needed to become the alchemist, right? Quote unquote. But it was the journey that was everything, and everything he learned across the way. And sometimes we get so fixated, and so do I, on this like end result, because we're mission oriented. Like, we're going to train for this, we're going to do it, we're going to do this mission, and then we're going to accomplish the mission. And I think the true mission now, the true mission in life, is walking the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that there is. Because when you get to the point of destination, you realize it's a false summit, and there's 10 more mountains behind it that you have to go.
I think that's such an integral part of human nature, where there's this weird almost dichotomy, I think, with never being satisfied.
Right.
But I think it'd be hard to argue that's the reason, or hard not to argue that that's the reason human beings still exist.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Because if you find yourself at whatever goal you achieve, and you're like, okay, that's it,
done.
I'm good. It's like, where do you go from there? Nowhere. Yeah, I mean, it's a strange mental balancing act, I think. But in that same vein, I mean, for you, do you struggle at all with almost being overstimulated with too many things going on at the same time, if that's kind of your focus?
So in the past, yes. And there's times that I do, I'll do some morning, reflecting and journaling and meditation to put myself back into like a parasympathetic mode, because I will wake up and like the tightness of the chest and the shoulder. I'm like, holy shit, I got so much to do. But recently it's been about, if I'm doing this thing anyway, right? The myth of Sisyphus. The boulder is going to get pushed up the hill. Like for the rest of eternity, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to push this rock up the hill. So regardless, the rock's getting pushed. How I feel about it is a choice. I can enjoy it, I can be present with it, or I can be angry about it. And I think that so many of us get wrapped up into allowing our circumstances to dictate how we feel. And it reminds me of the story of, was it Matthew, when Jesus was in the boat with the sailors and he was sleeping in the storm. And, he wasn't upset about the storm. He's upset about the fear of the storm. Like what changes? What changes in this boat? There's a storm or no storm. What changes? Nothing. You still rode the damn boat. So I think that having the ability to not have our circumstances dictate how this feels is powerful.
Yeah.
It's like, there's always going to be chaos. There's always going to be a storm. How I let it affect me is my choice.
Do you find yourself being grounded in faith that way?
That is something that has been a very big unlock for me in the last 6 years. Chad Robichaud, you know Chad?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He just came out. We did a military appreciation weekend out for Core Medical Group, raising money for the foundation to help veterans with testosterone replacement therapy. And he spoke, and he said something before we did the auction. He said something interesting, and it was the same for me. I grew up as a believer. I grew up in a church, Episcopalian, as Robin Williams said, Catholic light, and Iraq, I lost my faith. I lost it. I didn't believe in anything. And if I did believe in God, I was very angry, because everybody was like, we sit around like, oh, protect our troops. And, but I'm like looking at my friends that are dying, and I'm like, so you'll protect other people, but you're not going to protect this 21-year-old stud that has a family and his whole life in front of him. So if there is a God, he's an asshole. And I couldn't rectify that in my head. How are we sitting around circling up? How's the chaplain circling around praying for our protection, that this creature in the ethers in the sky is going to protect us, and then he doesn't, and it's always the good guys, it's always the greatest ones, that die over there. And I couldn't wrap my head around that. I couldn't wrap my heart around that. So it became a lot of anger. And it wasn't until probably the birth of my son in 2020 that I started to kind of feel something different and kind of solve this problem in my head. And the idea of free will, right? Like, we get free will. We get the freedom of choice, is not the freedom of consequence. And did plant medicine, and it's a long journey, right? It's been a long journey of realizing that even if all the bad shit happens here, everything's going to be okay in the long run. There's a bigger universe out there. There's a bigger existence out there. And I started to have this feeling of unconditional love. And that's what gave me, and I don't have all the answers. I don't know. You tell me I don't know. I don't know anything. I know what I feel. I know that there's a feeling in my heart of positivity, of unconditional love that's out there. And I also know the opposite of that. So for me, I've worked so hard to develop myself. I've worked so hard to develop these businesses, to give a shit about people. And you can do all of that, and you can be successful, and you can have the family, and you can have the money, and you can have it all. And there'll still be something lacking. And there'll still be something to where you're struggling. And it wasn't until I kind of let that go and reconnected with having faith and knowing that if God is the Father, then as a father, you're a father, I'm a father. We love our children unconditionally. Even if they make bad choices and bad stuff happens to them, we love them unconditionally. And I think that was the biggest mental unlock for me. I was like, okay. So one, God's not mad at you. Right?
Like any good father, I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, right? But that's really what it was for me, was that I realized that he does want what's best for us, and that you can have all the success in the world and you'll still be empty. And it's not until you let go of that and have faith that this peace will come over you, and you realize that no matter what, everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
No matter what. And I think that's where you're in the boat, the storm's happening, you're rowing anyway. How I choose to feel about it is up to me.
Right.
I have faith that everything's going to be okay. And I think it's a powerful unlock, because that's a snowball effect, right? You start thinking like that, well, all of a sudden things do start working out for you. I believe in the power of positivity. I believe in what you speak manifests in your life. If you're constantly speaking negative, you're constantly thinking negative, you're surrounded by negative people, you're going to get more of that. I choose the inverse.
Right. It's interesting hearing you walk through that, because it was a very similar parallel for me. I grew up pretty staunch Lutheran, and even the first couple of years in the military, I would have considered myself religious, whatever that means. And then deploying to Iraq and just, years in the military, it gave me that exact same unappreciative attitude towards faith in general, and it wasn't until quite a number of years later, even a number of years after both my kids were born, where I kind of went through the exact same process that you're describing, and to the point of that, power of positive thinking. There's this that snowball effect that you speak to. I found that an equally integral part of that is appreciation. Mm-hmm. Gratefulness.
Gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's just being thankful for everything, even if it's something at face value or at first seems like a total kick in the nuts or a door being slammed in your face. We've all learned in business that, sometimes something you think is working well, and then you have to pivot, and whatever your solution was ends up being an enormous blessing in disguise. It's like, how many times does that have to happen before you realize that that's all of life? Is that there's
you don't know what good is, and if there's no bad. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the single biggest hurdle that I got over with that attitude of, why would you let this happen? Because I think for me at least, being a father at first actually made my faith weaker. Mm-hmm. Because I realized that unconditional love and felt it. You can speak to it or hear about it or think about it and rationalize it, but until you actually walk into it as a parent, I don't think you truly grasp it. I don't think you can.
No, you can't.
But what I found myself struggling with was, to that free choice thing, is that, if one of my kids has a 2x4 with nails sticking out of it, getting ready to hit the other one, like, I'm going to jump in.
Right.
There's no way I'm letting that happen, and that's kind of the point I'm trying to make of, it actually made me struggle even further for a while until I kind of, there was a number of things which would take me half the episode to walk through, which I'll spare the audience maybe some other day. But just, the kind of like being in any relationship, whether it's romantic, personal, business, whatever, is that, making somebody be dedicated or loyal or respectful or whatever takes all of the value out of it,
Right.
and so to me that was a big light bulb moment for me, is that, if God has the ability to make everything perfect, well, then it isn't perfect, because
Right.
there's not an alternative. It's like
Right.
good without the context of bad.
You have zero thankfulness or gratitude for
Yeah,
that
because
thing.
there's no other choice
Yeah.
but for it to be exactly what it should be. And so I appreciate you bringing that up. And again, I find it fascinating that it's such a similar path. And I think a lot of guys who've walked through similar paths have experienced that same type of journey, which is fascinating. But from the last time you were on, obviously the transformation, like, I encourage everybody to just look at the thumbnail, or any of the pictures posted back when we recorded last time. We both look quite a bit different, I think, but the transformation in you from that point until now is, you're almost unrecognizable. I think
Yeah.
if you saw your 2019-year-old self next to you sitting here right now, you wouldn't believe it's the same person.
Not even close.
I would love for you to kind of walk us through how that happened.
So 2016 was it's funny you talk about the bad. 2016 was probably one of the worst years of my life. And that's where everything kind of came from that. I wrote the book after that, and then we had the podcast in 2019. 16 was the year that was like rock bottom. You're like bankruptcy, custody fights, getting slandered on the internet, losing probably 90% of my circle business relationships because of the slander. Like just rock bottom. But man, without that year, none of this would exist. And as you're talking about, there's no good without the bad. Like, I'm so thankful for that year, because that year is what was the inflection point that everything changed. So in 2019, so like that's when I like started to get my shit together and kind of, owned my shit, getting healthy, getting my mind right. I figured out the book stuff, wrote that book, started helping people there. But even in 2019, like I was there, but I was still on the path. I'm on the path now, but I was way at the beginning of the path. And it just took some time for that to catch up. And, looking back at that guy now, he was in it. He was on it. He just needed time to collapse to get to where I'm at today. And it has been talking about the faith stuff, the physical stuff, the health things, the hormones, everything that I've, talked about on that podcast. But so many people think that this is going to turn around in 3-6 months to a year. Oh man, it takes years. Like nothing happens overnight. There's no success overnight. And then what is even that? What is success? Again, the goalpost is going to get moved. Am I done? Am I successful? Sure, I'm successful. Am I done? No, absolutely not. I'm a work in progress. I think that, and again, we go back to the original thing we were talking about, is like we're always striving. If you're going to get better at anything, you're always striving for a 10, but the reality is you're always going to be a 9. We never peak. And it has been an amazing journey, an amazing amount of failure over these last 7 years. And I wouldn't change a bit. There's not one loss. There's not one failure that I would change, because everything led me to sitting in this chair right now talking to you. And I would lean into every single bit of it all over again.
With that, is there a failure or a couple failures that stand out as being the most pivotal for you?
Every failure that I've had, I guess the biggest ones that are all internal to myself. There's not one singular event that I was like, I dropped the ball or I did this. The biggest failure or the biggest struggle, I know this is not the answer you're looking for, is the amount of limiting beliefs and self-doubt that I had in myself. How I saw myself. That was the biggest thing that I had to overcome.
Was there a catalyst to being able to do that, or was it a gradual process?
It was a gradual process. It was reps. There was not one singular thing that was like, oh, I believe in myself now. We are a sum of our traumas, events, things that people told us, parents, teachers, childhood. And if you think that you're going to course correct that in a single event, you're gravely mistaken. Just like with anything, it takes an enormous amount of repetition, saying things over and over, just being grateful, just saying I'm grateful, even if I don't believe it. Saying it over and over and over until it becomes true. You know, talking about the faith stuff, like the power of prayer, Dr. Huberman said something about faith and prayer. And his experiment was this. He's like, you want to know how I believe in it? He's like, go pray, not one time, but every day for 30 days. And then see how you feel at the end of 30 days. That was a huge unlock for me, because I remember I was like, oh, so faith in dealing with these limiting beliefs, dealing with the thought of I don't feel worthy, is a rep thing. Because you and I can do the physical stuff. You want to do hard physical things? Okay. I will choose that any day of the week over hard physical things in here. So I can fight that. I can push through pain. But the war within you, between your ears, that's the real battle. And it was little things like that that I started to realize that it was all the repetition of things and the words that came out of my mouth. And words have meaning. And I have to mean what I say. And I need to speak. So if they mean something and they manifest the future, they manifest my reality, then why would I not choose the very best words for myself? And so over this period of time, it wasn't a singular thing. Like, yeah, I dropped balls, and we could talk about like how one year the company didn't grow. You know what I mean? Like we grow 100% almost every year. And then one year we grew by like 15%. Sure, I can talk about that and how I put my foot off the gas and why the reasons were that is. But that's not the real fight. The real fight was me thinking that I couldn't be successful. Or if I did, I had to work 10 times harder than everybody else around me. Or that I just wasn't worthy of success, or I wasn't good enough. That has been the biggest fight. That has been the biggest hurdle to overcome.
With overcoming those things, and kind of how that ties into the business success that you've had, because from 2019 until now, like I think you had just started Johnny Slicks at that point. We were
just over a year in.
So there's there's the Agoge stuff, there's other entrepreneur stuff. Mm-hmm. Was that a kind of a single element of the desire to do anything entrepreneurial, like kind of being catapulted out of that battle between your ears and ultimately overcoming it? Like, was that tied in, or was it separate?
It was 100% tied in, but me first.
So I guess, fixing that is what led you to want to do that.
No, fixing me is what led to the success of the other things.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So the overcoming that internal battle is what inspired you to want to get into business?
No. 2014, I started my first business. Got laid off from my contracting job, and then realized that they took something that I did, and it was actually for Palantir,
of all
places. Took something I did and my team built, and I found out the very next day after they let me go, they took our program and rolled it out to the entire company as like an SOP.
So you're on good terms with them.
At this point, they probably don't even know who I am.
The hat on the coffee table sitting right in front of me belonged to Glenn Doherty. It was a John Deere hat that I gave him. He had it when he tragically passed in Benghazi. BUBS Naturals is a tribute to Glenn. They have collagen peptides, which I put into my morning routine every single morning, as well as the functional creamer / MCT oil that goes into it as well. They have hydrate or dielectric electrolyte drink mixes, which are great for pre-workout, during workout, and post-workout to get all the added sodium, potassium, magnesium, et cetera, that's required when you deplete it. BUBS is a family company. The way that they started is, again, super close to my heart, with him being one of my closest friends for a long time. And I encourage you to go to bubs.com, and now there's a landing page specifically for Mic Drop listeners. Just enter the code Mike, M-I-K-E, all caps, and you get 20% off your first purchase at bubsnaturals.com. So that's www.bubsnaturals.com/Mike. And you can check out the Mic Drop landing page and go support an amazing cause.
But when I learned that they did that, and that I facilitated a team that built something so great that they rolled it out as an SOP for the company, I was like, well, if I can do that for them, I can do it for myself. I had a job offer from another company. It was a Wexford group. I don't know if they're still around. Almost the same the next day or that week, making just as much money. And I turned it down because I said, if I can do that for somebody else, I can do it for myself. Now, my idiot self thought I could do it in a year. Took me a decade, but nonetheless. So I started my first business in 2014, and then I just failed forward from then until 2018. My first business was, in my opinion, my first great failure.
What business was that?
Survival and tactical systems.
Oh, okay.
So I did what every team guy does, is think that the only thing that I have value of is to teach training and consulting. So I created a training and consulting company. And my wife actually saw me on the range one time, and she goes, this was when we first met, like my eyes were glazed over, and she's like, you look miserable. And she's like, do you even like doing this? And I was like, no, I hate this. Like, well, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
And she was like, you're like capable of so much. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is it. I'm a team guy. And it wasn't until, going down that road that but the one thing I'll say about myself is I've always pushed forward, no matter what. I've always just pushed forward. And that business turned into another one, which turned into another one. At one point, we had 7 different businesses. We closed some down. We exited a couple, not big exits, but, we sold them, made money. But all of those is what led me to the ones that really took off in 2018. Like, that's what started the Agoge. That's what got me to Johnny Slicks. That's what got me into Core Medical Group. And it all happened around 2018.
From a mentality standpoint, at 2018, were you still, you're always battling internally to a certain extent, but I feel like there's a crest that you get over. Were you at that point then?
Yeah, 2018 was the
pivotal year.
Yeah, I was like, we're going all in on me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to unfuck this. 2016, I realized that I was the problem. And then from 2016 to 2018 was like figuring that out and then working on the business. And so in 2018, it wasn't luck that things happened. It was like opportunity started to meet the prepared. I had all these failures that I'd fucked up everything else. I had fucked up my relationship. I had done dumb shit. And I was like, it's time to be a man. It's time to be a man, own my shit, and get this fixed and become the version of man that God created me to be. That was the decision point of when everything started to change. But it was having to look in the mirror and be like, who do you want to be? Who were you created to be? Are you this guy? Are you the guy that drinks and has self-doubt and it's overweight and that is broken? Is that who you are? Or are you something better? And I just knew I was created for more, and it doesn't mean that I had all the solutions. I just had just made the decision that I was done.
Yeah. It's neat to see, and I mean the different businesses that you're involved in now, at least from an outsider looking in, seem all kind of like they're hinging off of, or they're kind of dovetailed into the principles that you learned about yourself. The
Absolutely.
Core Medical Group is a huge part of it. Obviously the Agoge stuff, the mentality, the kind of warrior within. I'd love for you to kind of speak to the core principles that you adhere to within that organization. But even the Johnny Slick stuff, I mean, some people may scoff at first, but there's a million studies, just like with self-belief, how you look. Not to say that you need to wear Gucci flip-flops and spend a ton of money on clothes and stuff, but giving a shit about your appearance, has a level of value similar to how you think about yourself.
I think it affects your self-worth.
For sure it does. There's a ton of experiments where, homeless people get these makeovers and just they don't look like a different person just because of the aesthetic aspect. They carry themselves different, they smile, they talk more, they feel better about themselves. There is a link to that, the external, and even kind of in the transverse, I've seen some studies, especially with women, where they would do, makeup artists would put scars on them. Have you heard of these? Yeah, so they would, makeup artists would put movie style scarring and injuries and shit all over their face, and would tell them, okay, now we're going to interview you, right? And right before they would do it, they'd say, hey, I want to touch a few things up, and they would take it all off. And then they would interview them, and they would do these side-by-side comparisons, and when they thought their face was fucked up, they had horrible fucking self-esteem, and the way that they thought about themselves, the way that they interviewed, the way that their attitude
saw themselves
was completely different.
Completely different, yeah.
And that's what I think is neat, is when I look at, kind of those three core businesses that you have, they're all woven in with each other in three different ways. You got the between the ears, the hormone part, and the physical aspect. And is that something that was intentional, or did it just kind of happen that way?
I don't think it was intentional. I think that it was a natural evolution of my growth and my core values. So if I'm going to drive these three things, right, they all start with your core values. And if my core values are one of discipline and authenticity and vulnerability and accountability, then they're going to pour into those businesses as well. Johnny Slicks is, at the end of the day, the product is hair pomade and soap. How does that pour into it? Well, to me, I'm looking at this American flag. I'm sitting in here with you. We're an American-made company, and we just had our eighth anniversary, and that's what I told everybody. I said, John and I made a decision that, one, we weren't putting crap in our bodies. The biggest organ in your body is your skin, and what do we use? And these people and we got a cease and desist over talking about this, but I'm an American with my First Amendment right. You have companies that are selling products that are causing cancer, and that same company is providing the chemo treatment for that cancer.
Yeah,
that's evil, man. That is freaking evil. John's analogy for that is you giving me $5 to punch you in the eye, and then selling you an ice pack for $5 as well.
Yeah,
it's just sick. And then on top of that, so we chose to go an all organic route, because we put this stuff on our kids, we put this stuff on our bodies, and It doesn't have hormone disruptors. You know what I mean? You're not messing up your hormones. You're not messing up your health. But even more than that, to me, this is where it's one. It smells freaking great, and it'll get you laid. Let's just start there, right?
If nothing else,
you will get laid, and we have proof that it will happen. Yeah.
Is there a money back?
Yeah, that's the real sell of Johnny Slicks is it will get you laid. But the reality is this, man. Like we were told to outsource everything. We could outsource manufacturing. We could outsource everything, and I could just be at the house running spreadsheets and marketing. How does that benefit America? It doesn't. So because they did the math, because of what we did in 2025, we put food on the table for over 600 families. We paid over $13 million in mortgages and rent.
Wow.
Like it just, and it goes, I forgot how much it was, but 20-something thousand something people chose America over something else. And what I mean by that is every single time that you buy a bottle of body wash from Johnny Slicks, every single cent stays right here in America. Every cent. I mean, you're feeding families, you're paying rent, you're buying gas, and it's all staying right here. It circles right here in our economy.
Yeah.
And all the people's jobs. I mean, you got to think we have 30 employees just in Johnny Slicks alone, direct employees. And then you've got all of our vendors, right, that are all American made. You're talking over 400 people there, all because we buy their ingredients. All those companies are being able to take care of their people. So there's just like this huge trickle effect that happens because somebody chose to buy one bottle of body wash. And it might sound silly, but that's the effect.
Right. Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I have taken a similar approach with the things that I have going on, I think that's important. And I think, if you think back to the 80s and 90s when, manufacturing, like 90% of manufacturing of products was still here in the United States, I think there's a level of patriotism and kind of community pride that existed. I know, like for me growing up in Iowa, John Deere is everything there.
Yeah.
Both of my parents worked there, my dad for over 40 years, my mom for over 20. And, we're like most of the towns that are of any relevant size. Now, this is Iowa, which has a total population of 3 million statewide. So the towns are smaller, but there's, a manufacturing plant for John Deere somewhere, and most people's dads or parents work there. And there's just this sense of community that
John Deere people.
Yeah, that rarely exists anywhere in America anymore. I mean, there's still some of it, but and to me, like this is kind of the 2.0 version of that, right. I think, and I to me, that's what, from a fabric of America standpoint, like that's what it's about, and I think I don't think you can overstate the principle that you're talking about, how important it is.
It's just, let's just go back to giving a shit about each other.
Yeah. Like,
I don't care about our differences. I care about our similarities. Like, it just comes down to like giving shit about people. And I think I feel incredibly grateful that I get to be in a position to do that.
Yeah. So obviously the Johnny Slick stuff, I'd love for you to talk about the Agoge stuff, because kind of internally the same type of things apply, but for the individual that we're talking about from a business standpoint. Was there a singular catalyst that led to wanting to start that, or was that gradual also?
So in my own, there was a singular catalyst on this one. When I got my stuff together and I got like my health, my physical fitness, like I lost all the weight and all the thing from transitioning out of the military and all the dumb stuff that, goes on in your head and you have to figure out. That's all in the book. We've talked about that on the first podcast. Guys started reaching out to me saying, "Hey, I struggle with the same thing that you did. Could you help me?" And I was like, "Oh wow, maybe I can help these guys." So it started out with fitness and nutrition. It's like, well, you just got to eat better and train better. So my teammate Josh Hansberger and I like put this program together and we started trying to help people, but it just wasn't happening. I'm like, bro, just eat your protein. Like, what's the problem? Like, why can't you just, like, it's like 250 grams of protein, just eat it and then go lift every day. And It's not overly complicated. Very quickly, we realized that most people, most men don't have a fitness and nutrition problem. They have a mindset problem. They have a trauma problem. And that was my problem too. It's like I realized, I was like, well, I didn't have a fitness and nutrition problem. I had a mindset issue. I had a trauma issue. And so we started to address that. And this is what's really hard. And people talk a lot of shit about coaching. They talk a lot of shit about men's communities. They talk a lot of shit about, whatever. But the reality is this, and this statistic stays true every single time that we run an event, every single time I get men together and I get them vulnerable. 1 in 3 men were physically abused as a child. I'm one of them.
One in 3?
1 in 3.
Wow, that's staggering.
From the age of 5 to 11, I was physically abused by a stepfather. 1 in 4 men were sexually assaulted as a child. 1 in 4 men were sexually assaulted as a child. And that statistic rings true every single time that I get guys together, still to this day. Just ran a brotherhood retreat in Kona, Hawaii, where we had I think about 15 guys out there. Actually, it was more than 1 in 4. And so we wonder why men do not live up to their own expectations, or why they keep falling off. They'll start a project, or they'll start a workout program, this goal, whatever the goal is. I'm going to start being a better dad. I'm going to start being a better husband. I'm going to save money. I'm going to do this, whatever the goal, whatever the objective is for you. And they're constantly backsliding, falling off, restarting. And it's because they haven't dealt with the trauma that's created the limiting beliefs and the self-doubt. And they haven't dealt with that inner critic in their own head. And it all stems from that. We had a guy that brought something up. He's in his 50s. And it's the first time he ever spoke about it.
Wow.
And this thing has been holding weight over him for 40 something years. And it's affected how he was as a father. He's affected how he was as a business owner. It's affected how he was as a husband. And it affected himself. And it took him till his 50s. It took him to us, coming up with us, with a group of 15 dudes sitting around having a conversation, for him to just go like, yeah, this is what happened to me. And the first time he's ever spoken. His own wife didn't know about it.
Was he emotional sharing that?
Yeah, I mean, it can get emotional. It can, but at this point, it's very like the way that we run these things. It's set up in a very good way that there's a very easy positive outlet for it. So it doesn't have to be. It can be if it is, but it doesn't have to be. It's just this is the fact.
Yeah,
it's just a fact. And the problem is, so many men are dealing with something like that, and they don't realize the damage that it's causing in their life.
What is the Agoge approach to working through that once it's shared?
I have this thing that I almost make a joke out of it, that I can take shit and turn it into an apple pie. Because that's a shit situation. If you're sexually assaulted as a child, pedophiles need to be eradicated from this planet, right? Like this is the worst of the worst. And now all the stuff that's coming out now, which
it seems like
you've been talking about it for years.
Yeah, it seems like over half the government is filled with them.
Yeah, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So just absolutely horrendous, right? It's just absolutely horrendous. But the reality is that is something that happened to someone. That wasn't your choice, right? It was something that happened to you. And it doesn't have to have power over you. Some of the best guys that we have in the Agoge right now that have experienced that and then transitioned to the other side have turned it into their superpower. because they've made a choice that one, they're not going to hide in the dark. And two, they make sure that it doesn't happen to other people. And if it has some, they help them as well. I think the biggest problem that men have is we don't talk about it for the fear of shame, the fear of somebody looking at us a certain way. But the reality is when I'm vulnerable and I say, this happened to me, I don't want it to happen to anybody else. And if it happened to you too, then I want you to be okay as well. I think that takes the sting out of it. I think it takes the power away from it. And it gives permission, not that they need it, but it gives permission to other men to go, oh shit, yeah, that happened to me too.
Do you find that that is the hurdle, is just coming to terms and putting words to it that helps people overcome it? Or?
I think that is the hurdle. I think that we all think that we're special butterflies and that this has only happened to me. No one else is dealing with this. It's like the veteran thing too. It's like I'm in my own dark hole that no one else feels the way that I feel. I mean, the reality is you get guys vulnerable in a room together and they're all dealing with the same shit. We're just too prideful or too much of an ego to be able to talk about it. Because what? You're going to look at me differently? I don't give a shit. Like that, if that you want to unlock, stop giving a shit what other people think.
Yeah.
Be you, be your authentic self. Watch the impact that you can make in people's lives. And I'm not saying like through this or video or social media. No, in your house, in your community, at your church, at your work. These guys that have done that and then been more open about what has happened to them on the back end of that, you're talking about guys in their own office that are coming to them in tears going, dude, I saw that and I saw your post and that happened to me. I thought I was the only one. And I thought I've been dealing with this for 20 years. And you would never think. The people you surround yourself, you would never think. And that's why that's why I talked about, like, you get a lot of shit about coaching, but man, like there's this thin layer on society that everybody is on top of that just thinks everything is hunky-dory and everything is fine. And you just scratch that layer just a little bit and there's a lot of people in pain. There's a lot of people hurting, a lot of people in pain, a lot of people not living up to who they want to be because of this stuff.
Yeah. From, from the moment of verbalizing it, like, is there a...
Yeah, you turn it into positive affirmations. You turn it in from a toxic cognition to a toxic belief into a positive one.
I guess, how do you do that though?
In words. Just how, like, okay, so here's an example. Have you ever talked about the hero and villain story, the difference between the hero and the villain? Mm-hmm. You know, Joker and Batman. I'm a nerd. Love Joker and Batman. Joker, you know, same parents died, maybe he was abused, whatever. Basically same background as Batman, right? Joker goes, I am, I felt this pain. I want to make sure everybody else feels the pain. Batman goes, I felt this pain. I want to make sure nobody else feels it again. It's just a choice. So like the guys that have really come in on the other side of it, one of the guys that works for me in Johnny Slicks, something happened to him. Now he talks about it publicly. But so he helps other people. He's like, honestly, he's like, because this happened to me, not that I wish it happened to anybody else, but I don't go, I wish it never happened to me. He goes, it happened. I can't change that. I wouldn't change it because now I'm the man that I am today and I'm able to help other men transition to the same thing. Yeah. I'm not a sum of this one singular event that happened to me. It didn't define me. It didn't break me.
I know you guys focus on men primarily. Mm-hmm. Does your wife do, or are there components? Is there a distinction between men and women having experienced that, where it's handled differently because of sex?
I think obviously there's men and women are very different, right? Obviously things that happen to women, like I'm not a woman, obviously. So I don't want to pretend that like I know how to help them the best way. I mean, I've had some amazing women clients over the years, and there are some similarities, but they are cut from a different cloth. We're wired differently. There's a great book that outlines it. I forgot who wrote it, but The Way of the Superior Man, and he really outlines the difference of the different core needs between men and women. My wife has been super instrumental in not just helping me, but helping in the, behind the scenes with the Agoge and the direction, and kind of really allowing me to be open and honest, giving me that permission. And then she also coaches women on her side as well. But they are very different, and they do require different tools. Getting to the same destination and the same reasons, but the tools are different.
Yeah. Is that something, does your wife have a similar program for women that you do for men?
Not similar. She's, in the future, I mean, she's the CMO for Johnny Slick, so that, plus we got another baby.
Yeah.
So that throws a wrench in things. But that is the goal post Johnny Slicks, is it will be her and I, kind of full force into the Agoge doing this for.
That's awesome, man. I mean, the impact that you have with all of your companies and just kind of who you are and what you present to the world is inspiring, man. I'm super proud of you. It's an amazing journey.
So to kind of go back to your question on like, what do you do, is somebody gets abused, they feel unloved, they feel unworthy. So to change that is literally the repetition of, one, I love myself, I am worthy, and then saying that over and over again until you believe it. And then surrounding yourself with people that reinforce that idea. And if you're not surrounding yourself with the people that support you and reinforce that thought process, you need to change your circle. And so in the Agoge, we created that environment.
Yeah. That's an integral component for sure. I mean, I've kind of noticed that at each decade, basically, the friends you have versus not. I'm curious for you, in that 2016 to say 2020 period, did you go through a total friend transformation of losing a lot of friends that you had, gaining new ones, or was it not that?
I say the circle got smaller.
Yeah.
From then to 2018, the circle started to get real tight.
Yeah.
And it's gotten even tighter.
Yeah. I think that's such an important aspect, that loyalty, I think, plays a role. Just change kind of is tough sometimes and uncomfortable for a lot of people is a factor. But
Mike, if you're going through something, how much easier is it to go through it when you've got 200 men rooting for you?
Well, as a Jedi, I don't need it, but no, I mean, even that, I don't remember who said it. It's been, I think, probably overused, but it's that, who are the five, show me the people you spend, or the five people you spend the most time around, and I'll show you what kind of person you are. I mean, there's so much to that, whether it's 5 or 10
it's
or
osmosis.
Whatever. Yeah.
I say the same thing. I'm like, you got 5 friends that are millionaires, you're going to be the 6th.
Yeah.
You got 5 dads that are fit, you're going to be the 6th.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it goes.
Yeah.
It's the power of osmosis. But that was the biggest thing, is most men don't have that. So when they come in here, they go through the retreat, they process all of this BS, and they come out the other side. Now they have an entire group of people that are like rooting for them.
Yeah.
Most men don't have other men rooting for them.
That's awesome. Does Agoge have like a post seminar or retreat kind of network where you guys, whether it's a group chat
we meet 3 times a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like a Zoom kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we meet 3 times a week. I do one of the calls, which is more on family, business, life. Then we have like a human performance call. And then we have the community that one of our coaches run, called the Men of Faithful Action, and that's the faith and spiritual side.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
How is it, like an hour 3 times a week, or
Hour 3 times a week?
Oh, I mean, that's a hell of a time dedication.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean,
and they're all recorded. So like, not everybody can make it. But they're all recorded in the log. So we have literally those calls, that amount of calls, we have recorded since 2018.
Wow.
If you could figure out how to take all those videos and put them into an AI repository.
I think you could. I mean, yeah, for sure you could. You could have, I know there's programs that AI could condense it and Reader's Digest it into a, however long or short of a synopsis you want.
It would be a hell of a book.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the next book.
You should. I mean, it'd be easy too. I mean, especially like with all the personal assistant chatbot, or not chatbot, but agents, they call them, AI agents. I mean, the stuff that's coming out with that is is crazy with stuff.
So we'll
like
meet.
that.
Yeah. So we'll do the retreats. Got another one coming in July in Surf City. It's almost full, and then we'll on 30 days after that we'll do just the retreat guys. We'll do like a recap on that, seeing how, because you come up on a high, like you're all stoked. You're like, oh my God, this weight is lifted off of me. But then you go back to life.
Yeah.
And you got to deal with all that, and you got to utilize the tools that you learn to be able to change your life. So we do make sure there's like a 30-day recap of like, hey, how are you guys doing outside of the normal 3 times a week. So it is a huge time commitment. But the thing is,
let me talk to you about something that doesn't get enough attention: sleep. When you're younger, you can grind on for 4 hours and power through, but in your 40s and 50s, that will catch up with you and fast. Look, a lot of us going into this year, we're finally going to fix our sleep. But it's March now. That New Year energy is worn off for most people, and if you're still waking up groggy and dragging through the day, something has got to change. Beam sent me their dream powder to try and give my honest take. This thing has become a non-negotiable in my routine. I wasn't looking to get knocked out. I didn't want to stay that heavy, drugged feeling the next morning. I just wanted real restorative sleep, and Dream delivers that. It's made with a blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. The chocolate peanut butter flavor that they sent me tastes like hot cocoa before bed, and I got to tell you, I actually look forward to it. Since I started using it, I'm sleeping all the way through the night, waking up sharp, more present with the family, and actually getting to the gym like I said I would. Beam has improved over 28 million nights of sleep across this country, and it's made right here in America. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. They're offering my listeners an exclusive discount. Go to shopbeam.com/micdrop and use the code MicDrop. It's all caps, all one word. You're going to get my exclusive offer for up to 40% off Beam's Dream Powder. This is the best discount Beam gives out, so tell your friends as well. Even if they don't listen to the show, if they want to fix their sleep, they've got to try Beam. So remember, go to shopbeam.com/micdrop and use the code MicDrop. With my code MicDrop, you can get Dream for up to 40% off. Try it today.
Mike, when you're dealing with, like, I'll use one guy, Steve. I know he doesn't mind me bringing him up. Guy was 350 pounds, alcoholic, like a wreck of a life, just a wreck of a life. Now he's 54. He's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. His business is debt-free. He's making more money than he's ever has. And he's working less than he ever has. And he goes and fights 25-year-olds on the mats.
That's incredible, man.
And he's got abs. 350 to abs.
Yeah.
The guy is a savage. Now, is he perfect? No. But, like, that guy was knocking on death's door. He had no relationship with his family, no relationship with his kids. His life is completely different.
Wow.
He's a different human being.
Yeah.
And when a guy like that hugs your neck and is in tears saying, "Thank you for saving my life," and I'm like, first of all, I didn't save it. You saved it. I just gave you the platform to be able to do so. That's when I go, oh, this is worth it.
Yeah.
There's not enough, and and I feel blessed to be able to do this because I have Johnny Slicks, because, I'm successful outside of that. I have the ability to be able to do this. Man, that's what means everything. To have a group of guys that are like crushing it in their life professionally, crushing it in their marriages, becoming a better dad, watching the relationship with their kids and the father grow and them get closer. Dude, this is what life is really about.
Right.
That's the meat.
Would you say of all the things that you do, that gives you the most fulfillment and purpose?
I think working with people in general and helping them gives me the most fulfillment.
Yeah.
Like even like the guys that get on board with Core, like we get these guys that are, I mean, you have low testosterone, dude.
Yeah, it's life-changing in the worst way.
It's horrible. I mean, I know personally when I think I said in the last podcast, I had a civilian go, "Hey man, I'm not trying to get into your stuff, but have you ever had your hormones checked?" I'm like, "Fuck you, man. What the fuck's that mean?"
I sweat testosterone.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. But I had a 91.
Wow.
No fucking wonder I was overweight and looked like, and sad and drinking all the time, not sleeping.
Yeah. Wow. 91.
I mean, that 91, dude.
Yeah, that's wild.
And no wonder we have all this depression and suicide thoughts. And I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Get your shit corrected, optimize everything. So like, we just had the Core Medical Group event, and there's guys that are like, dude, you saved my life because you made a video talking about testosterone and your symptoms. And now I'm having sex with my wife. I'm like, my business is growing. I lost all the weight. I'm jacked. I'm like, I get to be able to do this.
Yeah. I assume Core Medical Group is a one-stop shop kind of hormone and performance-based.
Everything,
peptides.
Peptides, everything. And we have been screaming from the tops about this bullshit with peptides for so long. And it's awesome to finally see RFK put the kibosh on all this bullshit, because there's so many companies out there coming out with like, just who knows, sometimes they're real, sometimes they're not, but you never know what you're getting. But if I'm just going to put this disclaimer out there, if your peptide bottle says not for human consumption or research only purposes, throw that shit in the garbage. Shoot us a DM. Like, get real things. Make sure that you're not using black market stuff.
Yeah. I guess, could you kind of summarize? I know you said it's everything, but can you give like the bullet list of what Core Medical Group offers?
Yeah. So basically, what the inboarding process is this: we won't do anything unless blood work. And when I say blood work, I'm talking 28 or more panels. So we're not checking a CBC metabolic panel. We're not checking like 5 things like the VA does or what your doctor does. No, we're checking everything, because somebody might check their GP might check their testosterone, and they're like, well, your testosterone is normal. What's normal? For what? A 72-year-old man? Because that's the range that they're going to use. And for instance, on the VA purposes, if you're 301, you're good. 301 is not good.
Yeah.
So it goes based off symptoms, and it also goes off a lot more. So you could have like we've seen guys that had a 650, 700 total testosterone, but their free is an 8, and their SHBG is a 65, sex hormone binding globulin, which means, the analogy that I like to give is this: your total testosterone is your car, right? So you've got a badass Ferrari, for those that like Ferraris, or maybe it's a Lambo, whatever it is. So you got a great car, you're 750, 800 testosterone, awesome. But your SHBG is 65. Your sex hormone binding globulin is 65, which means you have a badass car with 4 flat tires. You ain't going nowhere. You have no access to your testosterone. And that's the reason why the guys feel like shit. So they'll get these lab results from their GP or the VA, and they're like, oh, well, it says I'm normal, but I still feel like garbage. So what else is it? Maybe I've got something else. No, man. Your hormones are messed up, and all it can do is we can give you one medication to lower your SHBG, and all of a sudden you're going to feel like $1 million. So I think it's not a one size fits all. Okay. It is very tailored to the individual of what they're dealing with, their labs, their symptoms. And I think that's where most people get it wrong.
For Core in particular, like if guys out of state want to do it, is there legalities that says you have to be there in person every so often, or is there anything like that?
No, we operate in I think 46 states now.
So and I assume is it North Carolina? Is that where you're out of, or?
So I have a clinic in North Carolina. We have several clinics all over the nation, but headquarters is based out of Florida.
Oh, okay.
And then you just give us a call. We send you we book an appointment with LabCorp, get your blood work back 72 hours. You sit down with one of the docs. Several of them are actually former SF IDCs or PAs in our community. So they really understand like our background. It's not just for veterans, it's for everybody. But for the guys that are listening that are, anyways, but yeah, you sit down with the doc, they go over the blood work, they go over your symptoms, and then they prescribe a protocol for you. So it'll be testosterone, and then ancillary medications. And there's a lot of bad hate about anti-estrogen and astrazole. But the reality is, man, if you're over 40 years, like this is where people get messed up. Is like, well, the Instagram influencer said that I don't need to take a anti-E. Well, if you're over 40 and your estrogen's going and your estrogen's going through the roof, you're gonna start having some prostate problems. It's not the testosterone that gives prostate issues. It's actually estrogen and increased estrogen. So no, you don't want to tank it, but you also don't want to be through the roof. You want everything to be optimized. You don't want your testosterone through the roof, or you don't want it bottom. So you want everything optimized. And then we have the ability to do, peptides are an amazing science. NAD plus for the brain is phenomenal. BPC 157 is a game changer. TB 500, ipamorelin again. All of these things that is out there is really game changing in health. And if guys only freaking knew what they could feel, like you don't know how bad you feel until you feel good.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down
to me, it's like a nagging joint injury. Like you get so used to it that it's the new normal and what have you. The peptides things are fascinating. I admittedly have not tried them. I'm willing to do it. I'd be happy to try it through you guys actually, and maybe even like document it. But I am curious, is there and I know it's going to be different for everybody, depending on blood work, age, symptoms, all that kind of stuff. Having said that, do you find, is there kind of you shouldn't take more than this many at a time? Or, are there clients that are taking 10 of them? Like, is there
the problem with taking I take probably 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm taking 4 or 5 right now, but they were all like in certain. So the only thing that I will say, again, not a doctor yet. I am in a PhD program, but not for med school. The only thing that I'll say is that when you add too much too fast, you don't know what is changing what.
Yeah.
So like most guys, I'm like, listen, if you're at bare bones, just get on a TRT protocol. Like, let's get your testosterone going. Let's get you on HCG or on clomiphene. Let's make sure your estrogen's in check. And then let's see how you're going from there. When we stabilize your hormonal baseline and we're like, okay, this is what's now the new norm, then let's expand from there and go, okay, what can we do? Can we sleep better? Can we recover better? Can we fix this shoulder? You know what I mean? Let's expand from there.
Yeah.
Because like any sort of science, you add too many supplements too fast, you're like, well, I don't know what's doing what.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, caveating it with, I know everybody is different, but for athletic guy in your 40s, training hard, sounds like BPC 157 and TB 500 are the two kind of go-to.
Staple.
Yeah.
Staple. Yeah. For recovery and joint health, you're talking like a pure collagen amino acid. So yeah, if you're in your 40s doing jiu-jitsu, lifting weights, and you're not running BPC 157, you're just missing out on a lot.
Would you say the contrast between taking it and not taking it is as, I guess, profound as TRT? Like, do you notice that big of a difference?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's inflammation in joint spaces.
Irrespective of how you eat, obviously eating is critical, but.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because everybody will talk about like, oh, well, you just got to eat healthy and this. First of all, listen, you're not fighting aging. It's not going to happen. So you have type 1 and type 2 hypergonadism. Because a lot of people in my comments are like, oh, just go suntan your butthole, get sunlight. And
I would do that anyway.
Eat a healthy. Yeah, I'm going to do that anyway. Just eat healthy and live right and get plenty of sleep and you'll do it. Like, dude, listen, I'm 44 years old. Like, I can eat I've done all that. I eat healthy now. I eat right now. The problem is what people don't realize is, one, there's an aging factor. After 30, your hormones are in decline. It's part of life. It's part of dying, right? So you're not fighting age. And then 2, if you have type 1 hypergonadism, that's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, internet, but type 1 is actually trauma to the gonads themselves. So like my business partner had what's called a brownout. You ever heard what a brownout is?
No, but you piqued my interest just by the name.
So he was skateboarding. And he did some. I don't know. I'm not a skateboarder. He skateboarded, and the board came up, hit his nuts, split his sack, and his testicle fell out of his sack.
Like disconnected, or
No, not disconnected, connected.
Yeah, but
and apparently, they can fall quite the length. If you could imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah.
And that's apparently what's called a brownout. So that's direct trauma to the gonads that are producing testosterone for your body. Type 2 hypergonadism is actually more like along the lines of what you and I probably experience, is damage to the brain, damage to the pituitary gland that's giving your endocrine system the signals to your testes to produce testosterone. We more likely have, like, I'm a classic type 2 hypergonadism.
I think Cody Garbrandt got type 1 in this past UFC fight. Did you watch it?
No, I did not.
Dude, I've never seen so many nut shots in one fight in my life. I think he got 4 of them. One of them, it's the first time I've ever seen this. Even Rogan said the same thing when he was commentating it. It was this past Saturday. He was fighting this Asian guy and kicked him, kneed him twice, and then maybe punched him once. But the third time it happened, he was on his knees throwing up in the octagon. It's never happened before. Like that's how bad of a
Ref
nut.
didn't call him?
I mean, he took 2 points from him, so
Okay.
basically he just had to survive and not get finished and win. I don't know how they didn't disqualify him for it, but yeah, I mean, I've never seen
Who
that.
won the fight?
Cody did, but just off points alone. Like if you were to, if he hadn't had those 2 points taken away, he'd have lost. You know, like
Yeah.
he was clearly not the better fighter that night, but I don't know how much of it
Was because he was getting racked.
hinges on
in
getting
the
kicked
nuts?
in the nuts over and over. But yeah,
Jesus.
dude was throwing up over it. It was wild. Anyway.
Yeah, he's gonna need to see that. Yeah. Cody, shoot me a message. Let
Yeah.
me see if we can get a
Yeah,
blood
crazy.
test. Unfortunately, those guys can't get on anything.
Yeah. Anyway, so I didn't mean to interrupt. It just it reminded me of that because that sounds terrible. But with
Yeah.
the brain thing, that's actually a really, really common thing in combat veterans, right?
Huge,
I mean,
huge in combat veterans, huge in professional athletes. Yeah, because your brain can only take so much, and if you damage that connection between for your endocrine system to signal to your gonads, you're gonna start creating issues.
Yeah.
This is where and it usually shows up in, like, initially it starts showing up in sleep, and then that transitions to like lack of recovery, and then it kind of goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Get your blood tested, gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day. That's
Yeah.
my selling point. Just, you don't know what you don't know. You can say I feel however, but like the blood tells the story. Just get your blood tested and then go from there.
Yeah. And I imagine with Core, you guys do like just go to a local
Lab core.
Lab.
Yeah, we booked the appointment for him.
Yeah,
We
okay.
just booked the appointment, get a lab core, then you're in the system, and then once your lab course comes back, we talk to you about it.
What is the ballpark cost for that whole program? I mean, I know it depends on what you prescribe, but
It
just
depends
for the
on what
basic-
people need, but like I think, onboarding is like $250 for the blood test and for the doctor, and then you don't have to move forward. And this is the biggest thing that I'm like, get a blood test, talk to the doc. At least then you can make an educated decision. Like, you're not out of anything other than the blood test first and the doctor consult. That's it. And then if you don't want to move forward. Take your blood work somewhere else. Like, but at least you can then make an educated decision on actually what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, basic protocol, I mean, you're probably looking at, depending on the state, 35 to 40 a week to feel
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Johnny Slicks, Agoge, Core Medical Group, talking about blood too much. Are there other things that you have going on? Are you still doing Raider Project stuff, or what?
No, we Raider Projects closed up post-COVID.
Oh, okay.
Couple different reasons. One, honestly, for that particular mission, it had kind of not fizzled out, but we started that in 2014, right when kind of the height of the war, like the war kind of was kind of coming down, and it was really started with trying to help my own friends, and then it grew into something amazing. Not that mission is helping veterans is dead by any means, but that particular mission to help guys transition out of after combat, I feel like ran its course.
Yeah. Well, I also think with between Agoge and Core, it's essentially the same thing, right?
Thing.
I mean, but it's for everybody.
75% of the Agoge members are military veterans, but we're talking like 15, 20 years later, military veterans, first responders, law enforcement, or something like that. The other 25% are people that just align with those kind of morals.
Right. Are there any other entrepreneurial things that you have going on that you'd like to mention?
Just now starting. It's like another thing, like I need a case of herpes, but
especially with a newborn child.
Yeah. No, Mike, I'm a psychopath. So we actually we're starting a school. So we linked up. Matt Boudreau with Apogee has been a good friend of mine for a long time, and so we're starting a campus in Holly Ridge. For selfish reasons, I don't like the direct. I mean, the public school's been broken for a long time. I don't think it was ever correct, really. I think that the whole system was made for a very specific reason, and it doesn't benefit our children. And so, I guess in a selfish way, I want my kid to be a part of that. So we are starting a school in the Holly Ridge area, and then like another idiot, a newborn, and all the businesses that we have. I started my PhD program to become a doctor. So
what?
Industrial organizational psychology.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of backs up to like everything that I've been doing since 2018 and what we're currently doing. And that's to set up the next chapter of life, next 36 months, what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, it's all amazing stuff. Like I said, I am curious, the time that you spent in the military, the lessons learned, the kind of core principles that are ingrained in you, how often do you find yourself now as an entrepreneur kind of relying on those and thinking about them and applying them in your day-to-day life? Like, how big of a role has that played?
I'll say this. The one singular thing that plays into my current life that I got out of that time is grit. It's not the leadership. It's not the operational planning, even though that operational planning is a big part of that. Leadership is, at this point, is almost a joke. Not to trash on military leaders, but I don't think military actually understands true leadership. I think it's grit. To be able to continue to do something when everything is working against you, and to show up every day regardless.
Yeah. To me, I'd love to add something to that I've noticed. I think in seeing other guys like you or even me or just other kind of mutual friends we have. Clint says hi, by the way.
I love that gay dude.
Yeah, I was talking.
He's my favorite homosexual.
Yeah. Out of all of them, and there's a lot.
Right.
Yeah, I was just on the phone with him right before you got here, but there's, to me, it's kind of two sides of the same coin. Is that, grit is for sure one thing. The other side of that coin, I feel like, is accountability.
Yeah.
Because I think either one of them without the other, doesn't really get you where you need to be, or is nowhere near as efficient. Because if you just have grit without ever having that accountability piece, then it's like you're the Marine storming the compound, like it's an inefficient, kind of spinning your wheels a little bit. Or
you can work really hard and go do nothing.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
On the same token, if all you do is take accountability, like, then you're just kind of beating yourself up the whole time. And,
and I think to add to that, I think another big portion of that would be clarity.
Yeah.
Clarity and vision of where you're going. Like, bad shit's going to happen. You're going to be in a boat. There's going to be a storm. There's a rock to push up the hill. There's always bad shit to happen. So yeah, you have to have grit, but you're absolutely right. Accountability, but also like the clarity and vision of the direction that you're heading.
So what we need is a three-sided coin.
Three-sided coin.
We need a pyramid.
We need a pyramid.
Anything from the military story-wise, I guess, that, like, whether it's, an anecdote or, something that happened in the military that you could share that is a reflection of something that you think of or that you apply to your current entrepreneurship?
I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. There was when we lost a guy named Gary Johnston. He was just Texan. He was a Texan through and through. His family's still here. We were patrolling. There was this huge operation. Of course, the Iraqis were involved, which should have been like the first red flag. But we had to clear this village, and we're patrolling through this village, and nobody was there. We're like trugging through fields, we're clearing houses. It is.
Which is always a good sign when nobody's around.
Yeah, it was empty. And it was very strange. All the signs were there, right? All the signs were there. And then we crossed the road and hit an ID. Like, my team walked right over it, and he was in team 2 behind me. And that's how he lost his life, which was another reasons why I had a problem with faith for a very long time, was that particular mission. And I think about that a lot because I think there were a lot of signs that something was, like, we knew it was fucked up, but there was even more. And I feel like I should have listened to those signs more then. So when I think about that, I know it's a really morbid way to think about business and think about life, but I think about that event quite often because I'm like, that was a big tragedy that I feel could have been avoided. And so I look at that now in life and in business, and where are the signs that I'm not paying attention to? How do I stop? Just fucking stop for a moment and look around and pay attention to my environment, paying attention to the signs that are there. And sometimes I think, like, talk to your point about grit, that you can just bulldoze through things. You and I are good at that. I think we're real good at probably bulldozing through shit. How good are we at stopping and pausing and breathing and looking at our environment and really assessing what's going around and paying attention to the fucking signs that are around us that could prevent a lot of heartache in our life.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's a tough circumstance, and there's so many stories like that of guys I've interviewed that have similar, kind of catalytic experiences in their life, losing somebody or some sort of combat mission that went a certain way that changed the direction of their life permanently. You mentioned the kind of lack of leadership within the military, and I couldn't agree more. One thing I do think the military gets right most times, and a lot of elements of the military do a really good job of, is selection. Whether it's for Raider selections, BUDS, you name it, Delta. The selection process, I do feel like they've mastered in terms of how to find the right guys,
personality
to do these types of things. Yeah. Going through Raider selection and kind of similarly, are there, like, if you could give the synopsis of what that looks like, just for the people that didn't check out the first episode and won't, but also the parallels and kind of how you've applied that to entrepreneurship, hiring people, surrounding yourself with people. Are there lessons you've learned from that?
Absolutely. One, I was pissed that I had to go through selection because I was a recon guy first. Yeah. So I came back. I was a staff sergeant. I was an E6, and they're like, Nick, you got to go through selection. I'm like, again? I just came back from being a force platoon sergeant, and now I got to go through selection again. And I remember my slack man, like the lowest guy on my team, was actually one of the cadre for selection. And I remember pulling him aside at selection, like, if you fuck with me, I'm putting you in a wall locker and I'm going to leave you there for the rest of your life. But what sold me on that process, and I agree with you, I think the one thing that we do a lot of things right, but one thing that we do really well is selection. When I went through our selection process, I was sold. I was like, this is an amazing product. There were, and you know why? Is because there were young recon Marines that didn't get selected. And I was like, and they shouldn't have been, to be honest. To be in special operations, they shouldn't have been. And that's a hard thing to say, because I love the recon community, but they were young guys straight out of BRC and they just weren't ready for that mentality.
Yeah.
And
I want to talk about something nobody really warned me about. You get out of the teams, you're still disciplined, still training, still even eating right, and then somewhere in your late 30s, early 40s, things just start feeling a little off. Your energy isn't the same, recovery takes longer, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, but the results just aren't there anymore. So naturally I went down the rabbit hole. Low T kept coming up, and I looked into some TRT, but when you actually dig into what you're signing up for, weekly injections, shutting down your body's natural production permanently, $3,000 a year, it's not really a decision that you make lightly, especially if you still want kids or just don't want to be dependent on a needle for the rest of your life. That's what brought me to Mars Men. They sent me this to try and give my honest take, and what got my attention is that it's designed to support your body's natural testosterone production. It's not just replacing it. We've got real ingredients like Tongat Ali, Shilajit, zinc, and boron. No synthetics, no needles, and no dependency. It's made right here in the USA, and it's third-party tested. What I noticed right off the bat is more consistent energy throughout the day. It's not a caffeine spike, just steady drive. Stronger in the gym, sharper mentally, and that's what I was after. Over 91% of users report higher energy levels. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk whatsoever. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts when you check out. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
so one of the things that I took from that was not a singular event, but this idea that there's a bullseye, and you can have a guy hitting the center of the bullseye on one thing and then be scattered all over the place. And I don't want that guy on my team. Matter of fact, the guy that I want doesn't need to hit all the bullseyes. He just needs to have an okay grouping. Like, I don't want big. I just want this guy that's like, okay, we're right here. Because I can work with that. I can work with somebody who's emotionally intelligent. I can work with somebody who doesn't have all the answers, but he has the aptitude to learn, right? And he's loyal. The high school quarterback that can kill the physical stuff is never the right dude.
Yeah.
I've seen that. You've probably seen that time and time again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's weird seeing. I mean, I would say for me, especially going through at 18, I think that was the singular biggest motivating factor, was showing up day one and looking around and being like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I got no business being around, you know.
These guys are studs.
Yeah, I mean, you see Olympic athletes and Division I national champion caliber athletes, and seeing those guys quit, you know, it's like,
I was about to say, I said those guys are the first to quit.
Yeah, but, you know, for some people, I think it has the opposite impact, and they're, you know, arguably the wrong people. But, you know, they see somebody who they look at as like, this guy's going to make it, I probably won't. Well, if he quits, there's no way I'm going to make it. For me, it was the exact opposite. It was like, I'm stronger than that fucking guy, you know. Like,
let's go.
Yeah, I was like, this is awesome. You know, this was like every time I heard the bell ring, I was actually more motivated.
It's funny you say that, because I talk about that so much. I do have this weird morbid thing that when I was going through things and other people would suffer or other people would quit, it was like, it would be like I'd steal their power.
Yeah, yeah.
It would charge me up.
Yeah, well, I think
I
think you see that a lot in jiu-jitsu, is like when you can tell you're kind of mind fucking the other, or you're making them miserable. Yeah. It's like it feeds your confidence and like makes you more emboldened to do it even more.
Even more, yeah. There is a
like pressure, especially. You know?
Yes, you're like, yeah.
It's like, oh, that hurts. Good.
I'm gonna give it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I remember going on runs, and I'm not a runner. We do a ruck run or something like that. And the times that I would lead from a leadership standpoint, Like, dude, not a runner, not the biggest athlete ever. But I would start hearing him suck behind me and struggle. And something about that just made me go faster.
Yeah. I love it. You mentioned kind of switching gears on a personal level that you just adopted a young child.
Yeah.
I'm curious and would love to ask what was the thought process there at 44 with a number of kids already of your own. Was that something that kind of fell into your lap, or was it an intentional thing?
Mike, if there's adoption processes falling into people's lap, please get me in touch with them, because I'd like to know how they did it, because there's nothing easy about this process whatsoever. So Allie and I wanted to build a family, right? I had 2 older girls that are just amazing. Those were my starter kids, and they had a starter dad. God bless them. Having a kid at 20 and having a kid at 40 is 2 different things.
For sure. Big difference.
But we had Dimitri, which was through IVF, because I had a vasectomy. And so they went in and sliced up the epididymis, got all the sperm out. And we did IVF. And
is that as painful as it sounds like it would be?
It's not. I do not recommend it. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and say this: men, don't get vasectomies. Now that we know everything about TRT and hormone, just don't do it. Don't fuck with it. Leave your nuts alone. If your wife wants you to get a vasectomy, just tell her no. Figure. There's got to be a different way. Just don't do it. Just say no to cutting your nuts open. Says the guy who's had it cut open 3 times. Yeah. So I had a vasectomy, and the reason why was, at the time, my second daughter was born. How old was I? 24 years old.
Yeah.
I have 2 daughters, and we come home from the hospital. I've got a newborn baby girl. My ex-wife gets into an ambulance and goes to the hospital for 2 weeks. So here I am at the house and she's having all kinds of problems.
Yeah. In that scenario, I'm surprised you didn't perform it yourself.
Yeah, right. And so here I am, 24, thinking I'm gonna be like, if we had another kid by accident or whatever, I'm gonna be a single dad with girls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at 24, I'm like, no thanks, we're done. So I got it. But then life happens, and so we wanted to build a family, and legacy is a big thing that's important to us. I truly believe that I think children are like the meaning of life. Like, you can never really have the full human experience until you have children. You really won't understand. And that's the reason why, because it sells horribly. Like, you see people with kids, and you're like, that looks fucking horrible.
Yeah, like, what's the upside?
What's the upside? There's a great Coca-Cola commercial I just sent to my wife where it's like just chaos, and they're just living in hell with this baby, and like trying to go through life, and this baby hits like 2, and it's just in the middle of chaos. Like, the baby's kids throwing juice all over the place. The house is trashed, and she comes in with a pregnancy test, and she's pregnant. And you think that he's going to freak out, and his reaction is nothing but like happiness and joy. And I think nobody gets that unless you get it.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it unless you've been through it. And so you can't sell it. It's not something you can sell. But anyways, so legacy was big to us. Dimitri having a sibling was big to us. Like, she had siblings, I had siblings. It's how I survived. It's how I made it to adulthood was because of my siblings. You know what I mean? And so we wanted to give that opportunity to him. And unfortunately, after we hit with him, we did IVF 5 times. It wrecked her. All the women that have done IVF, I tip my hat to you. You guys are brave women. It is rough, man. It is rough to take all those shots, mess with your hormones. And we did it 5 times with her. And I was like, we're done with IVF. Like, I don't want to mess with you anymore. So I got a vasectomy reversal on the one side. And because the other side was trash. And the doc said it was a 50-50 shot. It had been so long. There had been so much trauma. He's like, we can try. He's like, and it didn't work. So we're not going to do IVF. This doesn't work. I say that now. We always joke saying like, watch watch just one squeeze past the goalie. And next thing you know, we're having another one.
The Jurassic Park nature finds a way.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm having a fifth. Which if it happens, it happens, But she said something. She goes, we wanted to have another kid. I had visions of us having another kid. I could see it clear as day. And she said, what about adoption? And I was never into it. And this is solely selfish, but I was like, why? I don't want somebody else's kid. Like kind of like that, I don't know, tribal pack kind of thing. Like, sure. I'll eat other people's kids. My kids are my kids. The other ones are not my kids. The only kid I want is of my own blood. And she said something to me that just hit me like a hammer. I said, babe, I don't know how I can do this or how we can do this. And she said, babe, I think we just have to have faith. When she said those words to me, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh, that's it. I have to have faith that everything good works out for us, and everything that's meant to be will be. And Mike, I cannot explain to you the situation that happened was perfect.
Really? How so?
So we wanted a boy, but as you know, like, that doesn't necessarily work out the way that you want it. We got with an adoption agency. We went through all the classes, and then basically you go on a list. You make this website and you go on a list, and then they get birth opportunities, and they email you, and you say yes or no to them. They tell you the whole story, what's going on, and then you say it's like a lotto, basically. Like, you.
By the story, do you mean like the circumstances with which they're
all
giving
of it.
Everything? Everything,
like everything that's happening, health, the reasons why, everything. Because if there's drug involvement, if there's abuse involved, like, you have to know what you're getting into.
Sure.
And you know what? There's amazing human beings and families and men and women out there that are adopting these kids, that adopt children that in the worst, like the most horrific circumstances ever. And I think more people do need to adopt, because like, it's just, the stuff that I've read is atrocious.
I bet.
And the fact that a family can come together and say, I'll help this child, is a gift from God. Like, God bless those people. So we're in this thing, we're saying yes, like we're in the process, and I get a call while I'm in New York working on the Punisher, the new Punisher that's coming out this summer. And the head of the agency says, hey, we have a mother that picked you. I was like, what? We haven't put our name in anything. She called in the agency. It's a bad situation going on. She was due in October. This was July. And she said she saw the website and she just picked you guys. That doesn't happen.
Had you put that you were looking to adopt on there?
Well, our like profile was on the
gotcha.
website.
Okay.
So she went through all of the families.
Okay.
Read all the bios, saw the videos, and she pulled us out of the pot. And so they sent the email out saying, hey, Nick and Allie got chosen. They're going to be adopting a baby boy that's due at this time. And people were pissed, because there's people in there that have been waiting for a boy for like 3 years. Like, well, we didn't get to put her name. Like, no. The mother picked them. We honor the mother. And it wasn't a bad situation. It wasn't, they were in a bad situation, their life, but between us and the birth mother, it was just, Mike, it was the easiest process ever.
Did she communicate why she picked you? Like, have you gotten down to that?
Our core values in life that we were able to give this child. She said, what you have been able to give your son is what I want to be able to give my kids, and I can't. So the fact that you can is what I want. And I was like, if that is not the greatest mother's love for their child, I don't know what is.
Yeah, to me, it's hard to imagine a more clear-cut example of selfless love.
And that's what I told her when she gave birth to our son. I said, I've never, and I was in the birth room. Allie and I were in the birth room. And we, like, for me, there was no difference, really. It was the most, I thought I would feel different. But as a father, we don't give birth. We're there.
Yeah.
And
It's
when
a spectator sport for us no matter what.
Exactly, right? But we take over when we cut the umbilical cord and he goes over to the table. Now the father goes over there and he takes over.
You waterboard them and you let them
You waterboard them, right? And so, Mike, I'm standing there. I cut the cord. I go over there, and I felt no difference than any of my other kids.
Wow.
It was like, oh, this is my responsibility now. I am their father. I'm the father. I'm the responsible party. And I told her that. I said, I've never in my life witnessed, because you've witnessed birth. It's
brutal.
It's brutal. But to do that and to let this kid go live its life with us is the most selfless thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. That's incredible. I know it's completely case by case, but for you guys, is keeping in touch with the birth mother and maintaining is that an important part or something you plan on doing?
No, it's something we plan. It's an open adoption.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no, and honestly, man, it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been great.
That's incredible, man. I'm happy to hear that. And
yeah, he just turned 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long 5 months, I imagine.
It's a long 5 months. So what's interesting about adopting is there's no buildup. So for Allie and I, we were just like, 100 miles an hour going through life as normal. And there's no nesting. We had the place prepped and sure, but there's not that feeling of a baby's coming.
It's like full-blown stork on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just an infant that needs to be fed every 3 hours immediately.
Yeah.
And so that was a little bit of a shock for us, was like, oh shit, there's a baby in the house.
Man, that's wild. That's awesome.
First 3 months was rough, and then now all of a sudden he's like, dude, he's sleeping 12 hours too. We're so lucky.
That's awesome. Obviously, things are getting weirder, it seems like, by the day. In the last year since Trump got into office, the amount of protests and just things that kind of make you go, have, at least from my perspective, seemed like they've increased. Maybe it's manufactured, maybe it's not. I don't know, but I am curious. With somebody like us, I would say, in terms of background and perspective of having worked with or for the government, knowing a lot of people who have been in just about every echelon of the U.S. government and a lot of people who have represented the United States all over the world in a host of capacities, I do think that there's a valuable and pretty well-rounded perspective in a guy like yours to get your take on some of the things that are taking place, most notably just because it's the most relevant right this second, is when you see the current strikes in Iran. I'm curious, what do you think the real objective is, and does it line up with what we're being told?
My knee-jerk reaction to all, as soon as I saw that, was just huge distraction.
Most notably from the Epstein stuff, you think?
100%.
Yeah.
The fact that all of a sudden aliens are real. Oh, by the way, we're starting a war with Iran.
Yeah.
At the same time, it seems a little bit too on the nose to me. Now, are they a problem? Yeah, they're a problem. We know that they're state actors and behind the scenes of everything that's been going on for the last 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. Do I think there's bad guys in the regime? Yeah, they're bad people. My hope was that the youth, and I say youth, it's probably what, 40s and under in Iran would take care of itself. I was hoping that they would, and actually I just had this conversation with my wife. I was like, I really, before we our government attacked them, I literally said, I honestly think that it will be the youth of Iran that takes care of Iran, because they don't want it. They want it to go back the way it was. They want a secular country. And I would imagine that there are, people within our government that are pulling the strings behind the scenes on that and helping them. But the fact that we did what we did, or doing what we're doing, man, it's so hard for me to think anything other than distraction. Are there going to be benefits long term? Sure, there could be, but there also could be, it also could be worse. The devil you know is sometimes better than the devil you don't know. But again, it just goes back to, I think that this is just one massive distraction. The same thing as, them coming out about the talk, they won't stop talking about UFOs and aliens. I mean, at this point, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're trying to take over the planet, or you can like set one on a dissection table and show everybody, it's like, what difference does it even make?
It doesn't.
I am curious. Have you watched the series Homeland? Have you seen that show?
I think I saw the first season. It was one of those deployment watches.
What's interesting, there's 8 seasons. I marvel at how accurate or how realistic it is in some ways. Obviously, there's plenty that's not, but I think from like a technical advisory standpoint on the broad scale, or like the 30,000 foot view, they actually get a lot of things scarily accurate in terms of almost predicting things. Most notably, season 7.
Programming, you mean?
Yeah. So in the 7th season, there's a female president that gets elected, and she's going through kind of a similar thing. It's not sex trafficking related, but it's a domestic optics issue where, she kind of ran on being, anti-foreign policy and softer and, more civil rights oriented or whatever. And then like there's an assassination attempt and she goes completely sideways the other way and cracks down on everything. And they end up doing a strike in Iran or not Iran. Here I am fucking getting all discombobulated. Does a strike in Syria to distract from that for the same reason.
What's going on domestically.
Yeah. It's just like, dude, how crazy like parallel is that? Like it's the exact thing that we're seeing right now. I mean, it's wild.
But here, like I'm not so naive to think that Venezuela is not a threat to the United States. They're probably one of that country, because of location and assets, is one of the greatest threats to the United States. I think Iran's a threat to the United States and Western, culture in general. So I'm not naive to that.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to believe that that the way it's going about it is the only way to go about it.
Agreed. I'm right there with you. Like, I think two or 5 things can be true at once.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that there was at least intent or even a decision made to do it at some point during this 4-year period while he still could. But yeah, I think the timing is beyond just a coincidence. And
you know what's interesting that I find that about this go around with the public, and maybe it's just the close circle that I keep, even in the internet, the close circle that I allow into my brain, is that people are not buying it as much. It seems like for the first time, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's my perception, for the first time, people are seeing it as what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's kind of the cried wolf too many times thing.
Right.
There's been too many examples just in the last year, or especially 5. I mean, we'll say go back to COVID.
Right.
I think the way COVID transpired over that few-year period opened a lot of people's eyes, that I think wouldn't have been opened if that hadn't happened.
They played too hard too fast.
Yeah, and then you see other things. You see like the Charlie Kirk stuff and just, all these different kind of things that people notice and are paying closer attention to. And that coupled with the fact that, pretty much everybody walking around has a 4K video camera in their pocket all the time. And the internet and, hacking and, files being released or being hacked that nobody thought would ever see the light of day.
Yep.
And, so I think when you combine all those things, yeah, I agree. I think the overwhelming general population is far less naive and a lot more skeptical to what they're being told.
Which I'm all for. I think the age of authenticity is here. I think it's coming.
Yeah.
I think it's coming. I think it's here. I think people are craving that, and I think that they realize that 99% of the stuff that's out there is complete horseshit.
Yeah. Do you think that the fact that basically the first year and a half, 2 years of Trump's second term has played a role in that, it's kind of a flip of a coin come November as to whether or not Republicans will have all three, the executive and the entire legislative branch? Do you think that that's playing a role in the hurried up timeline of trying to get as much done before November as possible?
I think I do. I agree with that, just because he has not been able to do. The reality is not being able to do what he said he's wanted to do fast enough. Now do I see a lot of people are, hating on him because of whatever, and I'm like, I see it from a different point of view. Not that I'm, a fan either one way or the other, but when you're talking about the economy, you're talking about changing the foundation of our country. Like, it's not going to happen in a year and a half.
Yeah,
it's just not. Like, our shit is all fucked up, and it's going to take time. You can't course correct that in 4 years. Like, we've been running it into the hole for decades, and so, like, to change the economy, to change our financial system, to kind of right the wrongs of all these politicians of multiple decades is going to take more than 4 years.
Yeah. One of the things I see as a recurring theme, whether it's on social media, mainstream media, just talking to people, across the country, there's definitely a recurring theme in terms of accusation of Israel playing a huge role in us doing it, in a lot of the Epstein stuff. Do you have an opinion on that?
I'll say this: it doesn't look good, and there are bad people everywhere. There's bad people in our country. There's bad people in Israel. There's bad people in Iran. There's bad people everywhere. The things that are coming out, especially in conjunction with the Epstein files, paints a really ugly picture. And if it's true that we are literally just being a puppet for Israel, that's unsettling. And the data does not look favorable for us.
Yeah. In terms of the Iran component, I mean, there was I don't know if it's accurate or not. I've seen it kind of go both ways, but there was a specific clip. I know it's the classic, it was taken out of context, which is like everybody's excuse for walking something back. But there was a soundbite from Rubio that said that they kind of forced our hand, that they were going to do it anyway, and we knew that if they did, that we were going to be attacked, so we didn't want to just be sitting on our hands and wanted to minimize that as possible. I mean, that's a pretty shitty thing to hear.
It is a shitty thing. How do we know that's even accurate?
Yeah, you don't.
Like, all of this stuff, and I've gotten to a point now where with all of it, the Epstein shit the kid stuff bothers me. Like I went down a rabbit hole a while back, it was recently, and I was like, I got to get out of here. This is this is some gnarly shit. But I keep coming back to, there's so many people consumed with all of it, right? And you have fuck all to do with it, and you can't change it at all. None of it. Like, you worrying about it and you being upset about it does nothing for you.
Yeah, especially for the people that, to your point, are not only consumed, but spend, a ridiculous amount of time every day arguing with people. It's like, if you put that amount of time into just setting the example that you want other people to live by, like, the whole country would be 10x better. Right.
And I literally, it's funny, I used, as a thought experiment, I said,
nothing hits home like home cooking. And honestly, as someone who spent years eating whatever was in front of me whenever I could get it, sitting down to a real meal at home means something to me now. HelloFresh has made that easier than I expected. They sent me meals to try, and the thing that got me was just how simple it actually is. Everything shows up at your door, pre-portioned, ready to go. No running to the store, no wasted ingredients, no figuring out what's for dinner after a long day. You've got over 100 recipes to choose from every single week, including more than 35 high-protein options, Mediterranean meals, and even GLP-1 friendly choices if that's relevant to you. The ingredients are legit too. Sustainably sourced seafood, antibiotic and hormone-free chicken, seasonal produce, and they've even added grass-fed ribeye steaks. This isn't sad weeknight food. This is food worth sitting down for. If you've been trying to eat better and cook more at home this year, HelloFresh makes it easy to actually follow through on that. Go to HelloFresh.com/MikeDrop10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free Zwilling knife on your third box. That's HelloFresh.com/MikeDrop10FM. The offer is valid only while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on your first box, and new subscribers only, and it varies by plan.
I wanted to look at the second, third order effects in the country as if every father in America got fit. What would the second order effects be? And it was wild. Wild, the trickle-down effect of what it would do to the family, what it would do to the communities. And that's kind of like, to your point, it's like, how about you just, that energy that you're on Fox News or you're on CNN, like bitching, if you put that into yourself and into your family, every single individual just took their own responsibility and did that. Then how would things change? And then would it change from the bottom to the top?
I think it would. I think
would
it would
affect politics.
Yeah, because at that point, the main lever of leverage doesn't exist.
Right.
You know,
control.
Yeah, because I mean, now some people would argue, well, you can't ignore it, bury your head in the sand, and nothing will change. It's like, well, for years, people have been doing what has been taking place, and that's obviously not changing anything either. You know, so to me, like that's not an excuse to not try something different.
But if we're sitting here saying all of this is a distraction, then the gross populace is so focused on everything that's going on, isn't that exactly what they're wanting?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if the counter argument that some would have to what you and I are saying people should do is focus on themselves, is that, you know, it's like the people that, I don't pay any attention to politics. You know, the counter to that is, well, you're going to be ruled by idiots then because you don't know enough of what's going on to even stop it.
How are you going to stop it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, you take accountability and control of your own life. You know, I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying that's what some people would say.
How's your life going?
Yeah.
Why don't you focus on your shit?
Yeah.
How are your kids and wife doing?
Yeah.
How's your bank account look?
Get your own house in order.
Get your own house in order.
Yeah.
But I mean, but again, like, I'm not just talking about get your own house in order. I'm talking about everybody get their house in order.
Right.
And if everyone actually did that and stopped looking at the shiny object that they're putting in front of us, it's like the Coliseum thing. Just entertain the masses.
Yeah.
Give them wine, give them entertainment.
That's the bitch of it, I think, is it's been millennia that's been taking place.
And it's not that I don't care. I care deeply.
Yeah.
I care deeply for the country. I think that, I mean, you and I have been to war, man. It's like, war is hell. It's horrible. The stuff that happens there is awful. So I do give a shit. But I can't do anything about it. And me focusing on it does no good. Meanwhile, wherever your energy goes, or wherever your focus goes, your energy flows. So if we're focused on it, and that's all we're focused on, then we're not focused on the things that matter the most.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The one thing I will say that really chaps my ass about the whole thing is that nobody to date has been arrested for it that I'm aware of.
None.
Which to me is mind-boggling. You know, at this point, with the amount of evidence, the amount of even just the files that have been released, which is a fraction of what actually exists, but the Department of Justice has access to all of it. Why has nobody been arrested?
My question is, who would arrest them?
Yeah, they'd be arresting themselves, which is why nobody's been arrested.
You know, you ever had Victor Marx on?
I haven't. I mean, I'm familiar with him, but
yeah, he posted something talking about why they would never fully be released, And I before he posted this, I said, I don't think they'll ever fully be released, because it would cause I think it would cause an entire society collapse. And whoever has the access to those files, the unredacted files, what they have is now leverage.
Yeah.
So if you can't collapse the whole system, right? And everybody's like, well, let the whole system burn. I mean, you say that until there's no more gas in America, there's no more food at the grocery stores. Like, what kind of a collapse are you talking about?
Right.
Like, you say that, but are you willing to, like, if you don't have land and you are self-sufficient as a family and you live off the system that we live in, like, it's real cute for you to say, oh, let the whole system burn.
Yeah. It's usually those people that, so easily or willy-nilly say something like that are the first ones to bitch when DoorDash is 4 minutes late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're willing to go that route, like, I'm down. Like,
But
I'm
you
down.
better be ready for the whole thing.
But you got to be ready for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So from a global standpoint, they won't allow that to happen. So then the people that do have this, they do have it as leverage.
Yeah. Yeah. Circling back to Iran, is there a point at which you see it completely unraveling? Is that boots on the ground? Is it indefinite airstrikes? Is there a...
The one thing I'll say about Trump is he's never been one. Up until this point, he's never been a commander-in-chief that has had the intention or the desire to send 18-year-olds boots on the ground. He's always used the military as a very, very strategically. As you know, what people don't know is he employs special operations heavily. And he uses strategic assets, air, drones, et cetera, collection, to manipulate the battle space. I appreciate that. I wrote a white paper called Long-Term Conflict in Afghanistan, and talking about the drawdown of Iraq and the correlation between contracts in Iraq and contracts in Afghanistan, the surge in Afghanistan, the wind down in Iraq, and then all of a sudden the surge in Afghanistan, and where the contracts were happening simultaneously, plus the death tolls. So you can Google long-term conflict in my name, and there's all of the studies, all of the references are in there, and there's a correlation between the two. I've always had a problem, even when I was in special operations, had a problem in an asymmetrical environment watching young men do presence patrols in those countries and what we call knock and talks. The same dumb shit we did in Vietnam towards the end of Vietnam. And it's what killed a lot of Americans. So I've always appreciated that he's never pulled that trigger. I really hope that he doesn't.
Yeah. Do you think that in what seems like a big intended consequence of the entire thing is a pro-Western full regime change of guard? Do you think that is possible with shock and awe, extended air campaigns, HUMINT, special ops on the ground, et cetera?
In one side, I think that there's an entire generation of people over there that want to be liberated, like that truly want to be liberated. Not like Iraq, that was horseshit. I think there's an entire generation of people in Iran that want that. Now, does that benefit America the way that they want? I don't know. Would it be good for the people of Iran? Probably. But if we're the ones doing the strikes and putting people in place and trying to play puppet master, is that going to be what they want, or are we going to build it the way that some government official some guy at the State Department that's building foreign policy wants?
Yeah. I think you have to draw a line further back than what most people in the government where they would want to draw it as far as that goes. Like, it can't be a puppet. It can't be a propped up guy. We saw that in Afghanistan and Iraq. It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
I agree. Like I sure as hell hope that there's not ever legit conventional boots on the ground there, because I think that's going to be an absolute nightmare.
And then if we play it the way that we've done, if history fucking repeats itself here, then are we just creating another insurgency?
Yeah, for sure we are. Yeah. One thing that you do see, or I've seen a lot of ties, and it goes back to kind of the 30,000 foot view of what I think Trump's plan is, more so than what gets talked about, is the China factor, especially with Venezuela, with Iran. But like both of those countries have enormous capital investments from China, particularly in the energy sector. Do you think that plays a bigger role than anything else? Because, when you deep dive the 1974 Kissinger-Saudi Arabia petrodollar agreement and the undermining that China and BRICS has taken place, that has taken place in the last, say, 10 years, of trying to crush that and have all of these big oil producers now not use the dollar and use either Chinese currency or local currency or whatever. How big of a factor, if any, do you think that is actually playing in terms of the protection of the U.S. economy and the global reserve currency being the U.S. dollar and the petrodollar being the standard for energy globally, that by taking out pro-Chinese leadership in both Iran and Venezuela and replacing it with American allied leadership, that actually protects our economy and is actually more worth doing than the whole nuclear component?
I think that is probably more accurate than anything else. I think that he's playing an economic game, more so than, say, freedom or liberation of someone. I think that this is an economic move. Like you said before, 5 things can all be true at the same time. But if you look at what China's done in America, right, with farmland, the way that they're positioning themselves, the stuff in Venezuela. I mean, even in my own, other home in Greece, they're doing the same thing there: land, energy, etc. I do think it is an economic move disguised as something else. But again, I don't want to use the word fearful or afraid, but I guess my concern is, are we creating another monster that we have to fight for another 20 years?
Yeah, it's for sure possible. And I think to your point, or to our point, there's all these different things that there is a benefit, for the United States, depending on how it's done.
Right.
But in doing what's taking place right now, that benefit all of it. And I think the Epstein stuff was the domino that knocked it.
Sure, and they were like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And you say the benefit the United States. Does it benefit the United States, or does it benefit a very small select group of people that are controlling?
To me, it's
the
with
world.
that caveat of if it's done in the right way.
Yeah.
Is that if no boots are on the ground and there's an ability for all of the Western allies to position the populace of Iran to actually take over its country in a way that is at least symbiotic enough with Western alliances to get along and not have Straits of Hormuz fuck games all the time.
When have we ever done that?
I mean, never. But, I don't want to be negative. I will say the one positive thing, and this is really the only positive thing to your point, I do think if you compare Trump to the last 5, 6, 10 presidents, he is the one guy that does approach that differently. I'm not saying completely differently, but
yes, you're right.
But trying to do kind of a what makes the most sense, what's the bare minimum investment to still get the job done and not drag us into a 20-year war.
I mean, he's a businessman, so that is one thing that I do appreciate. But historically, we have just never done this right.
I think it's more likely for that to happen with him pulling the strings. I'm not saying it's guaranteed or even probable, but I think there's a better chance of it panning out that way.
Has there been any talks of actual boots on ground?
I mean, no more that, at least from what I've seen, it's been the question of, is that an option? All options are on the table. Is that something you're planning for? We wouldn't say even if we were, like they're being very vague, which I understand. I really hope that it doesn't get to that point. I hope that long enough airstrikes and enough support from kind of back channels allows the right people in the country to take it back over, and they can sort it out themselves.
I mean, he did it with ISIS in Iraq.
Yeah.
Like he did it. He does have a track record of doing the right thing in this in this area of expertise. And I hope that he's talking to the right people and having the right counsel. But he did it right in Iraq with ISIS. So hopefully.
Yeah. The one thing I have mixed feelings on is Syria. It doesn't seem like it was done the right way there necessarily, or maybe not even done the right way, but the outcome wasn't as good as we would have liked. When you see, pro-ISIS or pro-Al-Qaeda people in the country, is that a better option than Assad? Probably not. And especially when you see some of those guys shaking hands with, politicians in Washington, D.C., when 20 years ago they were on the battlefield fighting guys like you and I, that shit chaps my ass.
Definitely. And that's where it goes back to I sometimes think that we are our own worst enemy. And
sometimes or most times?
Most times.
All the time?
I mean, just go all the way back to the 80s in Afghanistan and Russia.
Yeah.
And what we did there. I mean, we had the opportunity, we never would have had to go to Afghanistan if we handled that the right way the first time.
Yeah. One of the things that ties into all of this is, you have the Straits of Hormuz, which is a really strategic and important choke point, which 20% of the world's oil production, or volume rather, has to go through there to get to everywhere else. The United States uses about 20 million barrels of oil. It produces about 14, right? So we make almost as much as we use. Obviously, we have to import some. One of the big selling points for both Venezuela and Iran, but we'll focus on Venezuela because that's supposed to have already switched into the net positive. The one thing that I do not understand, I'm not, a global energy expert, but to me, a little bit of common sense or being able to use a little bit of logic and reasoning to think that we need to import 6-7 million barrels a day. We just got in bed with Venezuela, especially when you throw Canada in the mix, who can produce way more than what we need in terms of importation. What I don't understand is why in the actual fuck Iran producing a barrel of oil or not, Saudi, any of those countries has any impact on our gas prices. To me, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Any opinion on why it does?
Okay, look at the top oil companies in the world. Are they American?
Yeah, you got Exxon and Shell and...
Sure, but as the board of those people, do they think like Americans? Are they operating from American, from a standpoint of what's best for America? Or are they globalist?
I mean, they're for sure globalists. I guess to me, it's just from a supply and demand standpoint, that doesn't add up.
They're not, because they're not playing on a field of what's best for America. They're playing on a field on a global field of what's best for the globe and what's best for their shareholders.
Yeah, more of a global OPEC strategy than
right.
I guess my point in that is that
we care about it.
Well, I care about it, and I hate that gets used as a selling point. It's like Venezuela is the second biggest oil producer in the world. They have the largest oil reserves.
Trust us, we're doing this in the best interest of America.
Then why is our gas prices? Why have they just skyrocketed? Which, I think a lot of people see the price of gas as a singular thing, but it's like when 97% of everything that we buy and consume gets transported via trucks,
all of it's going up.
That depend
Your
on the price of
bananas
gas.
Go
it's
up.
like everything goes up when the price of oil goes up.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that shit drives me nuts. But
you painted a really good picture there too. It's like they do utilize this to control the masses. No, we did this for the benefit of us.
Yeah.
But the reality is the people that are making those decisions don't think about what's best for a single country.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
They're not Americans. They benefit off being American, but they're not Americans.
Or they're not looking at it through the American lens.
No.
Yeah. Moving on to the AI stuff. Obviously, it's moving fast. Drones, surveillance, targeting systems. How much, as a former warfighter, how big of a role do you think AI is going to play in the special operations battlefield space in the next 10 years?
I think that it's going to be, especially when it comes to surveillance and drones, it's going to be massive. I think it already is massive. Yeah, I can't. Well, everybody knows that this is obviously a slippery slope. We're playing with the devil. But I think obviously warfare at its core is changing. The way that you and I fought in a war that's gone. Those days are gone. And maybe that's a benefit to kind of what's going on in Iran. Maybe that won't happen. Maybe there's an AI, solution. But I think you're talking about the difference between short term and long term gain.
How do you think it's going to impact the decision making process? And in that, I mean, or I guess I would throw a hypothetical. Let's say whether you're a team leader on the ground executing a mission, or you're a battlefield space commander in a TOC that's authorizing striking, DA targeting, et cetera. To me, the nightmare example is you've got a team on the ground, they're infiltrating to hit a target, and you have AI-centered or based air assets, right, that can identify an ambush about to happen, can identify IEDs, can identify fill in the blank with whatever threat you want to come up with. Right now, because those systems are in place, drones, et cetera, that can do that. Up until right now, at least, there is still a human gatekeeper that has to authorize strikes, even if it's targeted and collected and prepped by AI. A human still has to say, yes, cleared hot. There's going to come a time, sooner than later, where that gatekeeper either won't exist because we as a military have decided to outsource it, or our hand is forced because China in particular or Russia have already done that, and now milliseconds are the difference between our guys getting killed or not. Let's say you're in charge. Are you going to sign off on that?
It's an impossible question, because at what point does AI, I mean, I guess human beings have done it in the past as well, but at what point does AI not value human life?
Well, I don't think AI has the ability to value anything.
Right. It's a numbers game. So that team is not as important as, say, this other thing over here, or this other people over here. It's a mathematical problem for it.
Yeah, it's binary.
It's binary. For you and I, there's emotion. For you and I, and not only that, we have instinct, we have gut. And you can call whatever that is, but you and I have felt that. We've been on the battle space and we've had instinct, we've had gut. Whatever you want to call that, sixth sense. I think that is a very important trait that a human being has that's connected to a soul. When you remove that and it becomes very binary, what's the limiting factor on that?
Agreed.
Could it save people's lives? Absolutely.
Could it also cost people's lives?
But what is the inverse of that?
Yeah. Yeah, because to me, the terrifying aspect of that is that, I think sooner than later we're going to be forced with if you don't do it, more people's lives are going to be lost. And so you're in this like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like if your opponent removes those gates and has the ability to AI target and whatever, and now it's whoever has the better AI and turns into this like twisted Terminator 2 scenario. I don't know how you get around that.
Unfortunately, I think it's inevitable. That is our future.
Yeah.
The cat is out. The cat is out of the bag, and we've opened Pandora's box, and this is the future is happening, and there's really no stopping it.
There's no putting that toothpaste back in the tube.
No.
Yeah.
And we all know how this goes. Like, we all know how this is long term.
Skynet.
I mean, we watched the movie. We know how it turns out too. I mean, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. It's frightening for sure. In that same vein, you have 2 sons now.
Mm-hmm.
If either or both grow up to be 17, 18 and say they want to join the military, I know that's still a ways away, so it's hard to predict, but let's say things are the way they are now. Would you advise against it? Would you encourage it, support it, not support it? What would you tell them if they said, hey, I want to be...
It's funny you asked that. He's 5 years old. We're already having this conversation. He is, obviously I was long out when he was born. So I don't know where this fascination with the military came from, but he is enamored by everything military. And maybe that's just being a boy. I don't know, but this kid wants to jump out of planes, dive, shoot, move, communicate, fight. I mean, he's been doing jiu-jitsu since he was 2.5, and maybe it's just because of his parents, but like he is enamored by every single bit of it. I mean, you see him on social media all the time.
Yeah, I imagine. It's just think about the people he's around.
Right.
Think about all the adults he sees and compare that to what most kids his age have seen their entire lives. It's vastly different.
I mean, he's living in a 1980s like action flick movie. You know what I mean? Like all the guys around him are 6 foot tall and above, jacked, lean, tattoos.
Yeah.
Beards. He's like, this is what men. This is what men are.
This is normal.
This is normal. Honestly, my desire for him would not be to join the military, for either one of them. It would be very hard if he's like that, Dad, this is what I want to do. I'd have to support it, reluctantly, but I'd have to support it. I mean, my wish would be is that he is armed with as much information as possible to make that decision.
Yeah.
And if he's read my book, he's read your book, he's read all of our friends' books, he's talked to them, and he still has all the information. He knows the cost of that service and still chooses to, what are you going to say to that?
Well, I agree. It's a tough call because on the one hand, like you want to support your kids no matter what they want to do, provided it's legal and not morally defunct. But you and I both, I think, have seen behind the curtain for long enough to where we also know that the military is a tool of our government that gets misused over and over and over.
Like we did.
Like what is arguably happening as we sit here.
Yeah.
That I think is the tough part is, and I know you caveated it with having all the information, but I also think at 18, it's impossible to have all that information. Even if you're told that, there is a component of our government that just manages to instill a level of distrust in free thinkers and people who use any type of Socratic method when it comes to looking at any problem that just makes it really difficult to be supportive of that. I have 2 girls, neither of which have any interest in joining the military really.
Thank the Lord.
Yeah. I mean, if they did, I'd be in the same boat.
Right.
I would say, look, I'm going to have a hard talk with you, and I want to tell you what I think. Ultimately, if after I tell you everything I tell you and what I think you still want to do it, I'll do to the best of my ability, help you achieve your goal.
Right.
But I guess where I'm going with this question more than anything is the government being, the upper echelons of the government being the kind of primary cause of this distrust. Do you think that there is an ability for things to get back to what I think you and I and most guys like us would consider normal and a well-functioning government with the way things are now?
God, man, even with the people that are in power now, there's still agendas at the top level that are going to utilize the military, utilize the DOD as a tool, like you said, for the benefit of their thing. And sometimes that doesn't benefit the men and women that are in the military. And that's just a cold, hard fact that will never change.
Yeah.
Now, again, like you said, if you're armed with all the information and you know that, and you're like, listen, I still want to go serve my country, even knowing all of that, what the fuck do you say to that?
Yeah, you have to let them do it. Well, not let them. I mean, they can do whatever they want,
Yeah.
but Yeah, I think, okay, well, if this is your decision, I want to help you at least minimize or mitigate
As much as possible.
Yeah.
That's going to be
Tough combo. Yeah. I mean, who knows though? That's 15 years from now, you know, so a lot can happen in 15
The good thing is I told him, I was like, listen, this is what we say. You like jumping out of planes? We can do that. You like shooting guns? You can be the most badass CQB guy in the world. We can make that happen too, and you can still not have to go serve.
Yeah. Spring is here, which means most people are doing their spring cleaning, get new furniture, decluttering, refreshing the house. But there's one upgrade a lot of folks overlook, and that's the mattress you've been sleeping on for the last 10 years. Helix sent me one of their mattresses to try, and I'll tell you the difference in my sleep has been real. No more waking up with a stiff back, no more night sweats, no more lying there staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. I'm actually getting deep restorative sleep. And when you track your sleep at all, you'll see the numbers back it up. Helix ran a study where 82% of participants saw an increase in their deep sleep cycle. They're the most awarded mattress brand out there. They're tested and reviewed by Forbes, Wired, you name it. They've got a sleep quiz that matches you with the exact right mattress for how you sleep. You got free shipping straight to your door and a 120-night sleep trial and a limited lifetime warranty. Zero risk. Go to helixsleep.com/micdrop for 20% off, and that's site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/micdrop for 20% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after you check out so that they know that we sent you. Back to just special operations, generally speaking, we were talking about AI. Do you see an almost obsolete aspect to special operations, at least in its current form? I don't think they'll ever be completely obsolete, but do you see a shift in that way where with AI and drones and targeting capabilities being what they're turning into with all of that technology, that the need for special operators will be diminished?
I think it would definitely be diminished. I mean, look at electronic surveillance by itself. I mean, you start connecting. There was a great show. What was it called? I don't know how you say his name. Guy who played Jesus. Caviezel was in it. And it basically, they created an AI platform that integrated all of electronic surveillance, phones, cameras, everything into one machine, and utilized it for targeting and finding people that were going to do something harm, like terrorists or whatever, people that were in danger. I think that obviously privacy is out the window. We already know that. That's been leaked. So you take that and you mix it with AI on an international level. I mean, every single body anywhere with a phone. I mean, do you need boots on the ground at that point? Or can you know everything that's going on around you and have a complete package written up from some guy sitting in Langley?
Yeah, I think especially with small drones, and I don't mean like micro drones, but, because I've had the same question posed about dogs, is that, with drone technology, with, small, even like Best Buy DJI,
right,
civilian-sized amateur drones, you can essentially accomplish the same thing. I mean, flying drones in first to check targets out, and or even having munitions on them, and or kamikaze drones. I mean, there's a lot of applications of smaller handheld drones now that, whether it's dogs or people, are preventing the need for them considerably.
Do I think that it's going to be 100%? No, I think it will be greatly diminished.
Yeah. Kind of in that same vein, I've heard rumblings. Maybe you've heard the same. I don't know if it's just rumblings, if it's theories, or if there's any actual validity to it. But I've heard some people talking about a pretty heavy transformation of SOCOM, of basically SOCOM turning into its own branch of the military, similar to like Space Force, where it's standing up, and now there's no Navy SEALs, there's no Army Rangers. It may be SEALs, Rangers, whatever, but you're SOCOM and then whatever, fill in the blank. And SOCOM is its own branch of the military. It's got its own boot camp. I mean, it's totally kind of revamping the entire special operations community. A, do you see that happening? B, do you think it's a good idea?
I honestly believe that probably would be a better idea. As painful as that might, like as I'm looking at your trident and I'm thinking, I see the Raider things behind me. Like, obviously, we can talk a lot of smack about how the government used us, but man, do we not have a bunch of pride for the communities that we came from and the people that we worked with?
Yeah.
And maybe that's why. Maybe it's more along the lines with the human beings and the men that we worked with. But I hold a special place in my heart for the communities that we come from. But if I'm going to put my CEO hat on, I'm going to look at this from a 30,000 foot view, one of the biggest problems that SOCOM has is the big Army or the big Marine Corps, the big Navy that we're connected to.
Yeah.
And if you remove that connection, do we become more efficient? Do we become more dangerous? Do we become more highly trained? Do we become more unified? I think we do.
I agree. And I'm completely there with you, like as much as it pains me to say it, because
Yeah.
I think, the older school or even guys from our generation of that kind of sibling rivalry type of pride and, liking the distinction between Navy and Army and Marine and et cetera is from a nostalgia and tradition standpoint is amazing.
Yeah.
I do think having SOCOM be its own branch, having a separate boot camp, and then, you can still have like maritime SOCOM, you can have, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there'd be hundreds of people designing what makes the most sense to how to structure it. But yeah, I think pipeline wise and logistics and everybody being on the same page and all that, it just does make way more sense to have a special operations branch of the military.
You have a conventional force and you have a special operations branch.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you think that MARSOC will be a tier 1 unit at any point? Like, do you think they'll develop a tier 1 force?
Yes.
Do you think they already are? Is that what that smile is?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that the opportunity is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there some insider shit going on, or what do you got?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm out, but I do think that the opportunity is there, and in the future there will or is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that begs the broader question of what does that even really mean? Like for the non-veteran listener to say, what's the difference? Like what would make a MARSOC tier 1 unit tier 1 versus what they are now?
I think mission set in conjunction with level of, what would be the word?
Resource?
No. Not necessarily resource, because even not risk, but level of effectiveness. What is the outcome of this mission and how does it affect the world? I think that's what turns it into a tier 1.
Yeah. To me, I guess, not my opinion, maybe more of a question for you, is let's say you're in charge, right? Does that mean that there is a separate selection and qualification process for MARSOC tier 1?
Yeah, that's a hard one, right? But yeah, I think there like there is in any other tier 1 unit, there should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be curious to see what happens over the next decade or so with special operations in that regard.
It is interesting to watch.
Yeah. Rabbit hole wise, what have I not asked you or talked about that's worth talking about?
Oh my God, man.
What do you got? Are we about to uncover your internet history?
No, yeah.
At 2 a.m.
It's funny, Mike. The more that I learn, the more that I see, the more that I learn with everything from the government to our past to history, from energy to technology, the more that I realize that I just feel like everything's a lie. Everything's a lie. Like
everything?
I just think that the powers that be, that people that run the country, when you start looking at history and you want to just get into energy, and frequencies with, you talked about frequencies of the human being, frequencies of church, the church bells, Tesla with energy. I feel like we've either been compressed or censored over the last 100 plus years. When we entered into this industrial age, we've just been brainwashed. And I feel like there's so much information out there that is accurate and true. And now with everything coming to light, I don't know if it's almost on purpose that everything's coming to light to make us more confused. But the more that I learn, the more that I realize that it's hard to trust anything.
Yeah. I don't disagree. It is a confusing time for sure. And that is the dichotomy, I think, that exists with the internet and technology. And now you start, incorporating ChatGPT or Grok or whatever. And there's such an overabundance of information that it's becoming more and more difficult to discern what's what. No different than like the paradox of choice problem that exists with something as stupid or simple as, say, Netflix or any streaming service.
Right.
Is that, when we were kids, there's 3 different things you have the opportunity to watch, between now and when you go to bed. Which one? Now there's 5 million. Especially you throw YouTube channels in the mix. I mean, it's like, dude, how do you pick? I don't know.
Oh.
I think that's part of the problem. But I also think that there's that almost the paradigm shift of looking at problems from a different perspective. And the one example that comes to mind as I'm mentioning this is take Iran and Venezuela and look at a lot of global conflicts in the last 50 years in the Middle East, right? Mm-hmm. And you think about if the end goal is how do you solve that as a singular problem? It's like most people's strategy is foreign policy, it's military presence, it's putting this base here, it's having this negotiation with them, it's this trade embargo, it's this tariff, it's this fill in the blank. There's a whole other side to that you never really hear about, get talked about, but it's like if you could wave a wand and now all of a sudden oil doesn't matter.
I was just about to say this. Go ahead.
Because you think about like just the patents that have been buried for water-based engines, nuke power. I mean, there's a host of things that are from a totally different angle that now all of a sudden completely turn that game all the way upside down on its head by just solving a problem from a totally different direction that nobody talks about.
Yeah. What if energy was free and abundant?
Yeah, like if the combination of, let's say, each state in the United States and every country had a couple of regional, or every state has 3 or 4 or 5 depending on the size, small, super safe, contained nuke plants that basically there's no limit to the amount of electric power that's necessary. Then electric cars and electric everything would make way more sense.
Right.
But it's also now that's not a leverage point. You do the same thing with oil. Now you can run combustion engines even, and not even having to use electric motors, but things that run off of distilled water or vapor or whatever. Is that now, like you think about the cards that Saudi Arabia, that Iran, that Venezuela, that Russia, that China, all these cards that they have, now those cards aren't even playable anymore.
No.
Like, why wouldn't we have a strategy that's focusing even more on solving the problem from a totally different way that completely neuters them without even having to step foot in their country or fly a plane over it?
Because all the people on the Epstein list is the ones that's controlling the power and the.
I mean, to me, there's an element. I mean, I get that, but it's like the people who invent that and come up with that and own the infrastructure for those things are still going to be in that position of power. Like, why not do that then?
I don't think that, because they won't be in power. Where's the money?
I mean, if you own those power plants, right? I mean, even if electricity.
But see, I think it goes even further than that. I think that if, like, have you ever seen this thing where the Eiffel Tower is not just a piece of art?
Mm-mm.
It was an energy. It was designed off a design of Tesla that I forgot his first name, but Eiffel. Mr. Eiffel and
Mr. Eiffel, Johnny Eiffel.
I don't look it up as his first name.
Robert. Bob.
Worked with him, got his plans, and that was the original intent with the Eiffel Tower, was actually a wireless energy source, and that's why it was designed the way that it was.
Is that 100% verified?
No, of course not.
Of course.
There you go, Gustav Eiffel.
With a name like Gustav.
And Nicholas Tesla. If you look up him and Nicholas Tesla, you'll go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But that was the whole design. So and his whole thing was, again, kind of to your point, was this massive abundance of energy that was free.
Yeah. No, I guess that's a good point.
So if energy is abundant based off of frequencies and based off of whatever science that he had came up with, what does that do to the entire world?
Yeah.
How do you can't control, like, there's not a fight for resources anymore.
Yeah, I guess that point, I guess, for sure changes my mind on it and proves me wrong in that way, or my naivete, I guess, because there is a current example in big pharma.
Right.
There are a number of natural remedies that are every bit as good and less to zero side effects that get stifled nonstop for that same.
So you go on the computer, like now you're getting my brain like my real brain showing. People are going to be like, "Oh, Nick's a weirdo." So like the frequency of, and I don't remember the exact frequency of it, but the frequency of a church bell and the way that the churches were built, it was a place of healing, right? So if we put all those back, right, and you have cancer and you go they ring a bell and you go stand under the bell and that frequency just crushes those cancer cells. Well, man, that puts a damper on big pharma, doesn't it?
Yeah, I have seen some. I don't want to call it a conspiracy theory. Excuse me, because I think that is attached to. Well, that's bullshit then.
Except for the last 6 years, whenever every conspiracy has been correct.
Yeah, it's not a conspiracy. Yeah, it's just a theory.
It's just a theory.
Yeah,
that's been right.
Yeah, I have seen some of that bell stuff, and it's for sure fascinating. But
and here's why I believe it. Is because when you look at, and let's go to let's talk about treatment of veterans. Okay, so we have a frequency. The Earth has a frequency. Have you heard about grounding? Mm-hmm. Like you put your feet. You believe in that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I can prove it to you just based off feeling, because I can put you in a city surrounded by cell phones, internet, day-to-day stuff, and guys are just on edge. And then I take a bunch of men to the wilderness for a retreat, no phones, no signals, no anything, get them barefoot in the grass, and all of a sudden the weight comes off your shoulders, this pressure comes off your chest, and you're like, why do you feel the way that you do when you go to the beach? Why do you feel the way that you do when you go camping and you're away from society and you go look up at the stars and your feet are in the ground?
You're asking me why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, to me, because it's a natural symbiotic relationship, like you're supposed to be there.
Right.
And it's natural, whereas a man-made concrete jungle is not.
It's not the way we're designed to be. And so if that's true, then turn the volume up to 100 is the other true.
Yeah, probably.
So I didn't know this, but Dr. Brendan Bowerman, the head of Narova Labs, he's making he might be a good guest for you. He created a VR system video game to treat post-traumatic stress, TBI. His thesis was that it wasn't a lack of electricity in the prefrontal cortex. It was a lack of blood flow in the prefrontal cortex. And so he utilized what they do in essentially brain clinics, like inpatient brain clinics for treating TBI. He recreated that and elevated it in a VR experience to get mass adoption. And so I told him about the part in the book where I, was intentionally going to commit suicide, and I went down to the beach and everything that day at the beach. He said, because of the frequency, the sound of the ocean waves, which you can download this, it's a binaural beat, and your feet were in the sand. He goes, if you would have gone anywhere else, you probably would have gone through with it. But the fact that you went to that just so happened to chose to go to the beach and do it there. He's like, that's the frequency sound of the ocean waves and you being grounded in the beach automatically down-regulated your central nervous system, and it probably saved your life.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
And of course he goes into a much more scientific part of that. But that got me thinking about everything else.
Yeah.
And then that transfers to the church thing and all the other, down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I definitely notice it for me personally. Like if I go camping or even like stay in an Airbnb that's like, some cabin in the woods or whatever, and just sit out on the patio surrounded by nature. And it's just like, man, just the feeling that you experience.
The tightness in your chest, the tension in your shoulders.
Yeah, it's like a completely different mentality.
It's like it's almost like you were holding your breath and you let a breath out.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
What haven't I asked you that I should have? What other topics are worth talking about?
I don't know. I think it's good.
Yeah. Core Medical Group, Agoge, Johnny Slicks. Can all find that on your Instagram page,
Absolutely.
your websites, all that stuff. Yeah. Anything else that you're working on or that you want to mention?
No, the biggest thing is if anything like that I talked to you about the fatherhood, man, lifestyle stuff. Like we do have, I don't know when this will come out, but we do have a retreat coming up in July.
This will be out a week from tomorrow. So.
Oh, geez, yeah. So Surf City, North Carolina, come out to hang out with me personally, and we got. We'll do a total of 20 men, and
that's where you cap it. It's 20.
That's where you cap it.
Yeah.
Above that, it's not intimate enough.
Turns into a sword fight at that point.
Yeah. And but man, it's been some amazing unlocks, and I'm talking guys. I mean, everybody from the veteran just getting out to a very successful CEO making lots of money has been all in the same room, and it's crazy to watch. It's all the same problems.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to watch what happens after. And so anyways, I have that opportunity. I'd love to work with everybody.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming and reconnecting. It's been a while, and I can't express how proud I am of you, of everything that you've done since the last time we talked.
Same. Top 5 podcasts in the world right here.
Wow. I don't know about that, but I appreciate the kind words. And again, thanks for taking the time to come chat with us.
Thanks, Mike.
For the viewer/listener, I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, you can choke yourself. And until next time, this is Mike Drop.